So if it's the first time you've come across Founder Files, thank you. Hopefully you won't disappoint. I don't think you will. Today's guest is one I've been really looking forward to. We met super sporadically, which is how I really like this stuff happening, through one of my oldest friends, and couldn't be more authentic because it was directly linked to how I perceived, I suppose, your brand and your business and yourself online, which I think is the best way. And then, as is with, I think, all super successful people, and I know there's frameworks to that. People like yourself just tend to say, yes, we're doing it, we're going to get stuck in. We had a small conversation which blew my mind away, and I kind of had to stop myself because this is what the podcast's for. But if it is your first time, you're in for a treat, I have no doubt. Zsike's I'm going to blame you if it isn't for this big setup. However, just to give you some context, if this is your first time, I've created this platform because I like learning through lived experiences. I love a chat. My career to date has led me through a military career, a corporate career that was supposedly quite well on paper, and then into the world of entrepreneurship. And I got a bit tired of not being able to see real stories, or at least a credible platform that wasn't full of rich, famous influencers or people with silver spoons. If you are a regular viewer, thank you for watching. As always, stick some comments, share this online with your friends. But without further ado, do you want to introduce yourself, give a little bit more context?
Okay. Hi, I'm Zsike Peter, and I am the founder of Vampire Digital and a creator and author of ThinkBait. And I am massively against the AI slop. That's kind of, at the moment, I'm on a mission to do something about that.
I knew this. Right. So where do we start? Let's unpack this, because I've got into a thought hole, a rabbit hole on the AI piece. But let's go back, because again, if anyone that's here, it's really a chance to talk about you. So lean in and out of the questions I ask as you feel appropriate. But how far back can we go? Let's talk about where you come from originally.
Yes. So 1982, Romania, still under the Ceaușescu regime, who's
for those that don't know, so a bit younger, should we add some context to that?
Yeah, so Ceaușescu was Romania's long-standing dictator at the time. I think he was in power, I don't want to make up numbers, but probably close to 20 years, if not longer at the time. And actually, there is a bit of a prelude to that story about how my parents met, because that is, it's relevant. So due to the borders changing in Transylvania used to belong to Hungary at some point. Right. And then Trianon happened, and a lot of countries surrounding Hungary each got a large piece of Hungary, because Hungary was on the wrong part of history. That large chunk, one of the large chunks, was Transylvania, that then all the people, or the Hungarians living in Transylvania, found themselves displaced living in Romania. Okay. And from then on, they were somewhat under oppression. You weren't allowed to speak your own language in public, Whoa. Even as children. Ceaușescu was very keen to, and this is a horrible way of putting it, but crossbreed, so that to eliminate the Hungarian population. He would give free lands, move Romanians into where Hungarians, have lived for thousands of years. So that is relevant. So there's always been a bit of conflict between the Hungarian and the Romanian population, and there's a large, probably 30%, if not more, of the Romania's population are still Hungarian by ethnicity. So my father belonged to that Hungarian minority, okay, and his family, so he's lived there all his life. The part of growing up as a young boy is that you did 2 years in the compulsory military service. And he was stationed really far away from where he lived, up in the Carpathian Mountains in Maramureș, where my mother lived, in a completely Romanian family, or so she thought. And she used to go to school part-time and work part-time, because they had to do that to help the family survive, because their mother disappeared, went off with another man, and left 5 young children behind. So my mum and her sister were taken out of school, and they had to work whilst also taking alternate days to go to school. So she would babysit, and one of the families she babysat for was opposite the army station, or whatever you want to call it, you know the word.
Barracks.
Yeah, barracks, that's the word. And my father spotted her. And she was only 16 and he was, I don't know, 20, 19, something like that.
Yeah.
And she would rock a baby at the front. So my father's way of flirting with her was just bundled up a coat or something, and he pretended he also had a baby. And of course that made mum laugh. And that went on for a few days until eventually my father was courageous enough to go and talk to her. And it was all very platonic and sweet. And my father's service ended. They obviously exchanged addresses and wrote letters. And then one day a letter arrives from my mother saying, "Come and take me and marry me, or I'll kill myself." She was a bit dramatic.
Right.
And so my father said to his parents, "I love this girl, I want to marry her. She doesn't speak a word of Hungarian, but I want to bring her here." And so the family, because you go and take gifts to get the bride, otherwise you're not taking her.
Okay.
That's the tradition. So they
Right.
packed things in this horse and carriage.
What were the gifts? Have you done?
Oh, I don't know. There are lots of handmade, like throws, blankets,
Yeah.
some foods, all sorts of things that you would produce at home back in those days. Woolen stuff from
Yeah.
shearing the sheep. And so it took them a few days, because this is like several hundreds of miles away up in the mountains on the back of horse and carriage, you know.
Yeah.
And they asked for my mother's hand in marriage, and that was done. Brought mum back. She didn't speak a single word of Hungarian, ended up moving in with this Hungarian family. But my dad spoke Romanian, because as a Hungarian that was compulsory. You had to learn from a young age,
Right.
in school and everywhere. So I was born into a Hungarian-Romanian family. Much, much later, my mother caught her own grandfather speaking Hungarian, and that shocked her, because she thought, well, how do you speak Hungarian? And he's admitted that going back a couple of generations, the Hungary was indeed also Hungarian. But because of the fear from the regime and the oppression, they just changed the name of the family, and they didn't teach any of the children Hungarian. That they were that afraid.
Wow.
And so yes, all going back a few generations, all my mum's family turns out to be Hungarian too. But you know, there's been some mixing by that point, by the time my mum was born, and so that's the story. So then 82, I was born. Mum was on just.
And how many
even
brothers
18
and
yet.
sisters do you have?
So I have 3 sisters. I'm the eldest of 4 girls.
Okay.
3 of us were born in Romania, and half of our childhood was spent in Romania until in 89, Mum disappeared. So she left. I'm not making this up.
No. This is literally, if you were to watch any of my other podcasts, this has got to be the strongest start of because if you see, and this, my mind is some sorts of like, look at the current state of the nation and the environment, live in the Western world, and you think, what's this, 40 years ago?
Yeah, not that long ago. Really.
It's definitely not long ago. I mean, this is, and I'm very naive to this. I had no idea of the dictatorship. Like, that word is ridiculous. You think, well, for I certainly with Colonel Gaddafi, not Romania. But
yes.
so you were born 82, 89. Your mother disappeared.
She disappeared. This is springtime, and she left a note saying, "I've gone to buy some jam." And that note was left for my father, and then she came back that day or the following day. Weeks went by, and obviously she was pronounced missing. And as a child, you know, I was 6, 7. I was 7 years old.
So you're probably aware of, or I'm guessing you were aware enough to
Yes.
think what's
yeah,
going on.
you're mourning, because everybody thought that she died, basically. So massive upheaval. Dad couldn't look after us and work, so we had to move in with our grandparents, change schools. So we've gone from like a tiny town to the tiniest village with a single dirt road. No electricity, paraffin lamps.
Wow.
Yeah, or intermittent electricity, candles, a lot, paraffin lamps. No running water. I know that they didn't.
What did you do for water?
For work?
Water.
For water. So we had my grandfather, his brother lived nearby, and they had a well. So we'd go over several times daily with buckets and then store that in the cellar in larger containers. And then eventually they did, I remember, it was a massive, quite a significant couple of days where all the uncles came and helped my father dig a well for fresh water. And it was cold as ice, and really just, I never forget the taste of that water.
Yeah. It's crazy how we can forget how easy life has got. It's probably the way I had to put it when you compare it to that or hearing that.
Yeah. But you don't know, you don't miss what you don't know.
No.
So, like, you know, we were let loose. We were wild kids running into the forest in the Carpathian Mountains, being aware. And, you know, because sometimes you might have met a brown bear, because Romania has the highest number of brown bears in Europe. So you had to know how to act. Especially if they had
Go on, then run me through, right, just in a bear.
Oh, you don't run. You don't try and climb up a tree. You make as much noise as you can. Scared and banging things. We always had something on us to bang.
So just go at it, like.
And scream. Just stand and don't. If you turn around.
Have you had to do it?
Yeah. But it was fine.
Look at that, what you've just said. So I've talked about this. There's a lot of people in life without these sort of... I mean, I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure I'd be seeing it fun right now. Not the first time. But I guess if you're used to this, it does become fun. Yeah,
because often my granddad would take me out foraging for mushrooms and things like that. So I learned it from him. And then it was just part of life. And, you know, you do whatever you need to do, what you learn from your parents, grandparents to survive. That was life.
And you're about, not on camera, because a bear's what? Mouth is back, legs about 8 foot tall, right? You'll probably fall off.
Well, normally I wouldn't go on my own. We'd always be like a group of kids, and we would make a lot.
I mean, that makes it so much better. Like, at least there's loads of little kids together,
Yeah, and I was never, the same as if I was 8 years old. I was never the height of an 8. I was always the smallest in class and sat at the front, kind of.
Yeah, I was referencing.
So I could see what's happening.
I guess away from finding the humour in it all, I just think it's anyone watching this. Again, if you're watching this to be an entrepreneur, just listen to some of these lessons we talk through. A lot of the fear of the unknown, or the unknown is where the fear comes from. Just listen to the story we just dug into. We're probably 8 minutes in. So once you've done, we're fighting bear, we've learned how to scare bears off. Water is not something we should take for granted.
No, true.
Where's mum?
Well, that's the thing. Life had to go on, and I remember, like I guess any child would do, like crying myself to sleep, thinking, I don't know if we're going to see my mum. And it's not like I was always a daddy's girl, but I think for a child, a mother is still a very significant person.
Parents, right? And
you feel at the time it's like you feel abandoned or somebody what happened, and you try then just shut it out, and a lot of as other things that later on kind of resurfaced or certain things triggered certain memories, I realized that my mind just sort of shut those away because it's for self-preservation, to protect you. So yeah, life had to go on, change new schools, had to kind of fully learn Hungarian reading and writing, because up until that point I was going to a Romanian school, and a Romanian school where I was not allowed to speak my other language, Hungarian, and I was slapped once in the toilets by a teacher because I was whispering with my Hungarian classmate. And I remember, I will never forget her words. And don't get me wrong, I have Romanian friends, and there's a massive kind of overlap between the two cultures because of how closely those nations live. But I'll never forget this woman, the teacher, who just went pointing at me and sort of, this is great Romania, you do not speak any other language here. And yes, that's...
How old have you been?
I was 6 when I started. I was in the first year of school. Yes.
You should know better.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember my father would... So the Ceaușescu propaganda and that cult of the personality and brainwashing was insane. So every textbook started with... the first page, as you open the book, is a portrait of Ceaușescu. Every classroom had a giant blown-up portrait of Ceaușescu. If there was a TV in some of the classrooms, or black and white TV, on Monday mornings, you had to watch his live speech. And the government would regularly send out school inspectors to make sure that the children were taught in Romanian, And specifically during history classes, because parts of the history about the Hungarian nation and Transylvania were conveniently changed. And but as soon as they left, and the teachers took risks, the Hungarian teachers, they'd be like, right, we're going to tell you the truth now, but do not tell anyone that you know.
I mean, that's brave.
And my father, and some of them got in trouble because they were always like spies around. You didn't know who.
Imagine a kid though as well. A kid at 6, like you can be asked to do something, but you still have no real framework of like ramification. You wouldn't have understood just by saying, "Oh, we got taught this, that something might happen."
Yeah, or even things like, I remember if where we lived before Mum disappeared, and Dad managed to get a black and white TV, and if Ceaușescu was on, Dad said, "Go and spit on the screen," so that on the whole, the nation hated it. They knew that there was a better life for them
but
somehow.
Just so much control.
Yeah. And you didn't know who was listening. You didn't know if your neighbours would grass you up. You had to.
And look what happened in COVID. They're well keen to grass you up in COVID.
Yeah.
Like these people. And my mates are going to love to watch this, because I've set up, we're hearing things about how maybe the World War II narrative was slightly different to what it is. Israel's come to light of being quite a significant little sneaky player in all of this chess playing that's going on. And you just think, you're literally describing the BBC on a small scale.
I lived it.
Do you know what I mean? And I do remember the white TVs. I had one, it was white. It was about 40 foot deep. It had 4 channels on it.
Yeah. But, that was also a source of some fun, I remember. So revolution happened in 89 when Ceaușescu's own people just had enough.
Really?
And so that history around that day is really incredible. It happened in December. I can't remember the day exactly, 1989. And I remember walking home from school with my friends, and there were public buildings on fire.
What?
And people shouting, "Down with Ceaușescu, Ceaușescu's dead." And got home, and like the grandparents were glued to the screen and were about the news. And Ceaușescu's own people just sort of grabbed him and his wife, Elena, and they took them for some medical examination whilst also questioning them. They didn't know what was going on, and they then stood them against the wall and executed them.
Really?
And I think they caught their son as well, called Nico. He ended up in jail. Yeah, it's insane. So his own people got sick of it.
89.
Yes.
And so that happens then. So where was your mum back yet, or
not yet? No, because there was no cross. So Mum wasn't allowed. So we didn't know where Mum was, but she's actually managed to sneak through the border and avoid militia shooting her. So she was only 28 at the time. She already had 3 children. She wanted a better life for her children. But she knew if she told Dad of her plans, Dad would never go along with it, because Dad was never a risk taker. And so her 3 of her similar aged young girlfriends and her Mum's 18-year-old brother, my uncle, they concocted this plan to escape the country, go over to Hungary, which by this point was a newly democratic, so Russia has left, the Soviet Union left just the year before, and so they thought, we'll go over there, we'll make a better life, and somehow get our families over. They didn't know what that plan, how that was going to look like.
It's just do something.
Yes, but because they could prove that they were of Hungarian heritage, you had political asylum in Hungary.
Fine.
Coming from Transylvania. But if they were to then pick up the phone and call someone, or not that we had a phone, but if they rang the local, post office or something, they would. My father would have been jailed. He would have been in trouble because my mum disappeared and trying to make contact.
So she just went away. So
she had to be quiet until something happened and figure out a way. All along, we didn't know about this. So she was. She managed to get a job in a small town called Békéscsaba in Hungary, and just desperately trying to somehow work out how she's going to get her family over. And 9 months on, the revolution happens. Ceaușescu and his wife are executed. And I remember, because we also had to wear a red cravat, which is like the typical communist kind of school uniform.
Yeah.
And we were all like pulling it all off and tying it around our sledge. So we would, because it was massive snow, this is winter, -20, we'd have to walk for 5 kilometers to school and back. The river next to the road, dirt road, was frozen over. So if you didn't take the sledge, you would ice skate. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but freezing cold, like your breath would freeze on the back of your scarf and clothes, and and then there was chopped wood. Yeah, we had to stand in line every morning and hand wood over to each of our classrooms to then pile up next to the wood burner. That's how our mornings would start, because central heating didn't exist. Of course. So, interesting days. And so, and then a couple of days after revolution.
You just made me think. So, we're similar age. I was at school. Like, if you just think how, like, and I like to think I'm quite a knowledgeable bloke, but you're kind of destroying that feeling right now. In a positive way. That was and again, you map it over the way the world currently looks. It's still only like I would be at school.
So you were 4
in a classroom.
5.
Yeah. Little Jan, my mum was a dinner lady, being all dinner lady like, and you were stocking logs to heat your classroom.
Yes.
At the exact same time.
Exactly. Perspective. How about
perspective?
Yeah.
So again, if you're looking at this and you're trying to be an entrepreneur and stuff, and I'm trying to pull out notes, as much as these conversations are rare, but when you find them, just sit and think. The two of us, and obviously you'll hear more about your success and career while you're here, and people hopefully at this point will have a general idea of mine. They started from 2 very different places.
Yes.
And the outcome's still, you've got kids that we'll come on to shortly, but that's just probably a side note for anyone watching this. So once you finish putting the logs in and skating back into your old school and digging wells and stuff, right?
Fighting bears on the way.
Bears.
Avoiding cows and bulls, because they will always get at the end of the day.
You just said cows are minor. Cows are not even coming in featured in this when you fight bears. Do you know what I mean? I just said a cow.
Oh no, they can get vicious.
Yeah, we used to try and push them over.
They trample. Like you can't push them over. If they start
going.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to deny it, but you shout bears. Do you know what I mean? Like, go away, little girl.
True, yes.
Yeah, bulls used to scare me.
Yeah. And it's funny how they always knew. They know where to go back home.
Yeah, all the time. Really weird.
Yeah.
So, Ceaușescu's dead. When does Mum come back, or how does it even happen?
So a couple of days after, 2 or 3 days, quite soon after that, the madness of the revolution, and our town wasn't massively affected. Luckily, there was no anyone killed in the streets, but official buildings, police stations, things like that were set on fire,
right? Because
most of them were run by Romanian government officials. It's not their fault, but everyone was angry and fed up by that point. So, but we had the telegram. And it was from Mum, from Hungary. And she said, and I didn't know this, so my grandparents and my father read this. And something along those lines, I'm alive, I'm well, I'm in Hungary, and I'll be back soon. And I guess my father was angry, and I know he was angry because he felt like all this went on without his knowledge. He felt abandoned. He felt like, how can you do this to your children? But Mum, single-minded, they just wanted a better life for her family.
Plus, it was in my mind, and this is an open question asking you, it's the best option, right? Otherwise, she'd have put him in danger. If he doesn't know, he can't.
At least there's one parent at home with the kids, right?
Yeah. And if no one knew of what had gone on, there's no leakage of the story. She left. No. Yeah.
And she did risk her life, and her story was crazy. She was the only person who could swim. They had to go sneak through middle of the night. There was a big swamp in the way. She had to swim over with the other ones on her back one by one, go back, get the other one. Her brother got caught, my uncle, because during the day, in the last day, they ran out of food on them. Nothing to eat, and they were hungry, thirsty, and he said, I don't see anyone, I'm just going to climb down, because they were during the daytime, they were hiding up in trees or under shrubbery or whatever, and he was like, I can't see anyone, I'm just going to get down and have a look. And he got caught, badly beaten and jailed, luckily not killed. And he was then in jail until the revolution happened, and he didn't know if Mum and the rest survived. Mum didn't know what happened to, other than he got caught, they didn't know.
Jesus.
They had no contact. Yes. And so Mum eventually came back, but I remember all sorts of Western programs and movies were allowed to suddenly be shown on the TV. And I remember the Dallas on Saturday nights was a big thing.
Yeah.
And as a 7-year-old, I remember watching thinking, wow, people live like that. That's when my mind got open to, oh, people don't have to, sit by a paraffin lamp if they have intermittent electricity, or go and use a compost toilet at the end of the garden in the freezing cold. Or grow, I don't know, just all sorts of things. One day, I'm going to move from here because I don't want to be married to a shepherd and have 8 children. Because that would have been my prospects if I stayed.
Yeah.
Maybe the world has moved on since, even in Romania.
Yeah.
But some of the rural parts are still very much like time has stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, just looking through, I don't know, the way I see Europe and stuff now, for me, it's become quite a place of interest, I think. Quite like this, still quite traditional. I mean, we're going to mention something that most people are going to raise their eyebrows, but Andrew Tate lives out there. So whether you've got a view on him or not, obviously it was an introduction to what it's like, but watching all his stuff, he speaks so highly of how beautiful the place is, still grounded in some old traditions, which I believe not that traditional.
Yeah.
But I still think the essence of some of them are important for traditional, or a bloke with traditional values, which I like to think I have in a positive sense.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's amazing how a lot of the European countries preserve their cultures and their way of life.
Yeah.
When it comes to Andrew Tate, one of his main reasons is also because it's a massively corrupt country still, Romania and Hungary and a lot of Central and Eastern European countries. So he gets away with a lot more. But then, he's only back in the US now because Trump.
He's gone there, he's been here. So would you be in Romania then? Let's just not to digress, because you're technically closer to the place than I am, regardless whether you live there or not. What do you make of Andrew Tate being there? Are the story's true? Do you know anything? Is it about out of the country? Do you hear from family, friends?
I've seen some footage on social media, not footage, so Romanian content creators talking about all the rumors around him, and there's a lot of truth to what's out there about him. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of that doesn't get translated because how do you search for keywords in Romanian? And I don't know, nobody would think of that. Well, not very, unless you go down the investigative journalist route and try.
Because he got out of prison, didn't he? Because obviously locked him up over there. But then he's kind of convinced us that it was all the UK government and the elites trying to hide stuff or trying to create stories.
Well, Trump's son went and visited him or something like that, and then they suddenly, next thing you know, he gets flown back to the US on Trump's private helicopter or plane rather.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to speculate, but it's fishy.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah, of course.
And the thing is, even Romanian officials, try to clamp down on him, but you pay somebody the right amount of money and you get away with stuff.
Right. And that's the little bit of Romania that's still there. That doesn't lend itself to progression. Yeah,
it does hold progression back in many ways. And look at what happened recently in Hungary. I think the Hungarian nation had enough of Viktor Orban, and he's become a bit of he's a authoritarian, populist guy who's gone down the route of almost becoming a dictatorship, and Hungary majority of them voted them out, which he's made almost impossible. The new guy is incredible. Péter Magyar.
What?
Péter Magyar is his name, the new Hungarian Prime Minister.
See, there's some of this as well. I think I'm like quite a current affairs geek, but clearly not. But then we must get filtered some of it, I guess.
Yeah. The only, it's incredible, that story, the Hungarian, because it feels like another regime change.
Yeah.
Because Viktor Orban, who's been in power for over 16 years, started out as a completely sort of left liberal, let's change Hungary. We've been too far gone down the kind of, close to communism, and under Soviet Union, there's been a lot of leaders around from that era still affecting policy and how Hungarians were allowed to live their lives. And when Viktor Orban was a young politician, he was completely against that. So the rest of the Hungary, and especially the younger population, were behind him. But he just power got to his head. And so then he changed legislation and law, controlled the media. There was total censorship. made up lies after lies about the opposition party. I mean, it's said, if you look at experts in politics, they say that Trump is directly using Viktor Orban's playbook.
To do it?
Yeah, to do what he's doing.
Yeah,
So
I was a big Trump fan, and I got a hint of that, and I kind of went, then I stopped and thought, well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not scared to be wrong, but it'd be deeply frustrating, because then I think if you come out of that cycle for the God knows how many times, then politics is just eroded forever.
Yeah. It's difficult because, anthropologists have looked at this, and humans, we go through this self-destructive cycle every 150 years where we allow, questionable leaders in power, and, questionable depending on whose side you're on. But there's so many studies now showing that people who vote for far-right extremist or very conservative governments, they tend to be less educated and less intellectually capable. And then as you are more aware and more open-minded and more educated, you kind of go towards the middle or even left. But
I'm not sure I'd get to the left. I wish we could get rid of all of it and just call it, I just want to be decent and have common sense.
Yeah.
Sod a measurement.
Yes.
It's like, listen, you're being a bit of a prat. Do you know what I mean? What you're doing there is not really positive, and let's just call it that.
Yeah, why can't we just all get on? And
Stop being a dick.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dick. That's a good one, isn't it?
It would be a good rule to lead a country with in general. Yeah.
Because, and I do just, I'm not fucking joking about it, actually. I think, because I just think, to your point, if you go and put buckets and categories in place, we consistently have to pick one.
Yeah.
Quite like the idea of some of the left-wing policies, quite like the idea of some of the middle stuff and some of the conservative stuff.
Yeah. Why can't we mix?
Why can't I put a foot in each of them? But then you can't by the nature of the design of the system.
Yeah.
But look, we're hopefully we'll have a chance to have some food or coffee before we disappear. But this is about you. Hopefully this again, there's loads to take from this if you're trying to make life decisions right now, because we're getting through up to the meaty bit where we start to hear about your success, what your life, or some of the things you've achieved in life. So post this piece of then deciding to leave, then what happened?
So for a number of years, so Mum came back. Obviously, they then must, I know this from much later down the road, that they didn't tell us in such detail when we were children, but they then tried to have a go at building a life in Hungary, to being seasonal workers while we stayed with our grandparents. Okay. So they would spend a few months at a time together. And during that period, my father changed his mind. He said, I don't want to move. My roots and my family, my life is in Romania. However hard it is, I don't want to. And Mum, by that point, she just had enough. She wanted to move. And, they were just, thinking back, they were chalk and cheese. My father is a Transylvanian butcher. He's a simple man, funny but simple guy. He's not interested in reading books and painting and music. And my mum she self-taught herself Hungarian. I remember she had books. She was reading Proust, and she was reading books like Crime and Punishment and Anna Karenina in Hungarian, they are the most difficult books to read anyway, let alone in a language you haven't learned. So she was teaching herself from these really difficult books, and and I can see where I got that rebellious, and I'm going to go and find something better for me, and I'm going to make it happen, and I will build it for me. That was my mother. And my father is like a jokey. He's always having a laugh with everyone, and he likes his drink. And everyone comes to him to right, I need a pig slaughtered, and can you do some homemade sausages and smoke all this meat for me? And my father's like, yes, I'll get my night collection out.
So
yeah, but then I turned vegan, and he wants to disown me. The shock on your face.
All right, we're stopping this. Why did you turn vegan? What was that? I'm not judging. What made you become a vegan?
There is a good reason for that. So my daughter is 9 years old. When she was born, within a few weeks, it transpired that she, from one of the blood tests, that the markers that show the human growth hormones were not quite right.
Okay.
And they said, we're going to monitor this. If it doesn't self-correct by the time she's 2, she's going to be on lifelong medication.
Okay.
So I started looking into thinking, well, why is that caused? And it's to do with endocrine disruption. And well, why does that happen? And apparently one of the reasons can be consumption of mass-produced animal products.
Okay.
Through pregnancy. So it's not something that she developed when she was born. That's quite highly likely. It's as she developed in the womb. So I've asked her endocrinology specialist, and she's like, well, because NHS sometimes is so behind of the latest kind of research.
Bless them.
Slow-moving beast, aren't they? So
underfunded, all the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. So she said, well, we don't know for sure, but there's no harm in trying, but make sure you only try one thing at a time. So that was the only thing I changed about her diet.
Okay.
And within 2 months, her blood tests were completely back to normal.
Okay.
So but because it was easier than to cook vegan rather than just for her as a baby, you know.
Selfless.
And then I started going down the rabbit hole of looking at, well, you know, what's happening during this, like animal, you know, how are they raised? What are they fed? And then I was like, oh my God, I can't actually eat this. That's me. So that
makes sense. Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So I'm not fully vegan now. I still eat. I eat eggs.
Do you? Brilliant.
But that's
most nutrient-dense food on the planet.
There you go.
Right?
So, but that's some, you know, and I try to source that, you know, where some local ethical farmer rather.
You can taste the difference as well. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, I grew up. You know, we raised our own animals. We grew our own fruit and veg. So that's.
I've just made the commitment to myself that I'll be the only animal I have when I build my estate. 2 years and I'll be building my own house. And I've said I will have chickens. Like it'll be massive. Yeah. There'll be loads of them because I eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
That's a good plan, and they're easy. They're easy to look after, easy to raise, and we had to get our hands dirty. You know, we had to. Even my mum would be like, right, hold this chicken down, and she would cut the neck, and we had to pour hot boiling water over it, pluck the feathers, do all the gutting. I remember my dad would store meat. So they would, even a lot of families still do it in Hungary and Romania, where they don't buy it from the supermarket, from the local stores. They raise their own animals. Then they all commission a butcher, and if you don't have a butcher in your family, to slaughter that animal, to process it for you. Yep. And then it's all either freezered, or at the time we didn't have fridge freezer because the electricity wasn't reliable. So we had cellars, and I remember these massive wooden barrels, and my dad would be like, layer of salt, layer of meat, which was smoked, some of it wasn't, layer of salt, layer of meat. And I remember my favorite thing to do is to sneak down into the cellar and the pig's ears.
Really?
And I just bite here and then just put it back.
Put it back.
And then my dad would be like, it seems to be, we have some little mice who are munching. I wonder, because he would pretend that he didn't know that it was us. But obviously he loved the fact that we would sneak and
get some pig's ear.
Yeah. So
I've just seen, I was watching Billions, that's what I was watching, a series, and they had it in a restaurant, these two rich guys. It was like a delicacy.
Yeah.
Do you still eat pig's ears?
Well, as a vegan, that would be tricky.
Oh, yeah, of course, sorry, yeah. Well, it could be like an exception, like the eggs, you know what I mean?
No. But I know how to make aubergine into an almost bacon-resembling thing.
Oh, what, an aubergine?
Aubergine, yeah. You slice them really thinly, and then marinate with smoked paprika, olive oil, and a bit of salt.
I can see that.
And then in the oven on the baking sheet, just one by one lay them out next to each other until they're crisp.
I'm trying this.
You
need to send me recipes.
I have convinced a few people.
Would you know why with the baking? Just because it's gone on the carcinogenic list, and I eat it. Oh, it's like my favourite.
Yeah, I do. No, don't get me wrong. I didn't give it up because of the flavour or the texture. I miss it, but I try and recreate. So my Hungarian Christmas time, we do this sauerkraut meatball dish, which is stewed together over a few hours, and I recreated that many times with plant-based ingredients, and many people were none the wiser. And then afterwards, I tell them that wasn't actually real meatball. No, you're lying.
You're lying.
I'm not.
Well, I need some recipes.
There you go.
So we get to a place then where your mum's decided. What did you say? So
their marriage basically, it cost their marriage eventually. Yes. The fact that my father didn't want to move, my mum was determined, and she said, I want a better life for my children. Yep. And Hungary at the time was, quite a few years ahead of Romania in terms of progress and, government changing and so on. So my mum, obviously, so then my parents filed for divorce. And what my mother wasn't expecting is that the Romanian court would rule that we were to stay with our father.
Oh, wow.
Because we were too young to, they said basically we shouldn't upend their education and their social life and so on. Hanging out with the bears, they didn't want to upend.
Oh, it's good. You know, it's on tip of your tongue. It's like, don't say it. Skating to work and heating your classroom and stuff. Yeah, leave them there.
Such a
Mind the cows.
good childhood. Yeah, yeah.
So you stayed there and did some more of that.
So yes, and my parents did not have the best relationship through that period, which meant.
But they stayed in the same house.
No, so my mum moved back to Hungary, but my dad was really angry and bitter, so he wouldn't allow her to see us, and she would send like clothes and gifts home, and it had to be all sneaky, and Dad found out anyway. Mum appealed against the court, but this went on for from the age of 7 until I was about 11. So once I was over 10, I was allowed in court to choose which parent do I want to go with, and normally they don't split siblings. And Mum appealed knowing this. And so I knew when the court date was coming up. I was 11 years old. And in the middle of the night, I wrote a letter saying, because by that point, my dad remarried. Or met, he wasn't married yet because their divorce wasn't finalised. But no, divorce was finalised. The custody case wasn't finalised. So no, he did remarry a woman who was an alcoholic who abused us when Dad was at work. And so I wrote all this down in Romanian, and I made my sister sign. My younger sister was only 5, so she just did an X because she couldn't write.
A little smiley face.
Yeah. And I posted that the next day, and the court received it just in time.
You sent it to the court?
The court. I sent it to the court as an 11-year-old. No.
Oh,
I didn't know my mother's address. I sent it to the court. So and then the court case happened like a few weeks later.
So
and I didn't know if they'd received the letter or not.
Yeah.
But I was 11. I thought, right, I'm taking charge of this because this is not right.
I mean, like all 11-year-olds do, yeah. You just take charge of stuff like that. I mean, you've been fighting off bad since you were 6. This is like work. Where do you think this comes from? This, again, let's just look at this. If you're sitting here worried about business, you don't know how, figure it out. It's probably another thing, or just get some tenacity too. Because what I'm listening to here is a child.
Well, you have to grow up fast. When you go through that revolution, your mother disappearing, thinking you're abandoned, you have to kind of look after yourself. Then you end up with a literally wicked stepmother who, you're having a play fight, therefore she makes you kneel on chopped up wood and things like that. That kind of toughens you up. So, and we were too scared to tell our father. He didn't know, because if he knew, he obviously found out later down the road, and that didn't last. And he was just so guilty and angry about all of that. But so Mum came back for the appeal day. By that point, because this is years on, so I think from 7 the divorce started, and then 11 they both met somebody else. Mum came back with my brand new baby sister who was 2 months old, so she met my future stepfather to be, who was a lovely man. And the court, on the day of the court case, I remember we were taken there as well, me and my sisters, and me and the other one, the eldest Annika, who was only a year and a half younger than me, were taken into a separate room, and this young lady said, "Is this letter, did you write this? Did you sign this? Is this true?" And we both said, "Yes, that's true." And we really want to go and live with Mum. We were just too scared to tell our father. And she was like, "Okay, thank you for telling me." Nothing was decided on the day. After the court case, Mum had a visitation with us at a friend's house. So Dad left us there. As soon as Dad left, Mum's packing everything hurriedly and takes us to the train station and kidnaps us from our father.
What?
En route to Hungary. Luckily at the time, the children didn't have a separate passport, so you were listed in your parents' passport.
Yeah.
So she was able to kidnap us.
So
and I have this memory, obviously my father went to collect us from this friend's house. We went there, he then thinks, oh my God, where are they? Thinks, okay, train station. That's the only thing I can think he could think of, because Mum didn't have a car. And I have this memory of the train pulling away from the train station, and Dad running, crying. We're crying, because obviously it's still a very emotional.
Yeah.
And I was a daddy's girl. But even despite of that, I knew that this was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And years later, we had this conversation with my father, and he said it was the right thing to do. But at the time, he didn't know the context.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know,
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yes. So
you still have a really good relationship with your mum and your dad?
My mum passed away last year.
Oh, apologies to hear that.
So, yeah. But, so we moved to Hungary with Mum.
Yep.
And so yeah, my 12.
So how old are you then? 12?
I was 11, turned 11. This was in February, and I turned 12 in May.
Okay. So
1994.
Got to Hungary. This is where, like, I'm going to, assumptions are never terrible, great. Well, this is where things start to pick up a little bit, become a little bit more stable, possibly.
Absolutely, yeah. So we moved, we were living in this house of this old lady who kind of took Mum under her wings, and then she was the one who always encouraged Mum, like, go and get your children as soon as you can, just do something. You can't, the children need their mother. And Mum always looked after her, and she kind of became our adopted grandmother. And she only just passed away last year as well.
No way.
Quite close to when Mum passed away, but she was an amazing, formidable woman. Swore like a truck driver. In Hungarian, but like, she this old-fashioned like dress. She would work out, and she had vineyards. She would drive this. She would like go on horseback or drive this weird. You can only find this vehicle in Hungary. They call it the csettagő. It's a mix between a tractor and a car, and it's really noisy.
What's it called?
Called the csettagő.
Csettagő.
And but it's used for kind of like working out on the fields and vineyards and things like that. And we where we ended up in Hungary is quite a famous wine producing area. It's called the Big Plain, and it must have been under the seabed at some point, because the whole ground, everything is sandy,
right? And
there's lots of natural lakes. So then we settled into life, school, start learning everything in Hungarian properly. I had to then pick up a foreign language, because up until that point I was only learning Romanian and Russian, which was the norm in Romania. All the kids in my class were speaking English.
I love the way you say only Romanian, Russian. I can only speak English. That's fucking debatable sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Just chucking a third one there for good measure.
So yes, in Hungary you're not allowed. Your A level was incomplete until you have one foreign language.
Right.
No matter how good you are.
Which I do believe is a positive thing, I think.
Yeah, nobody died of learning a foreign language, so it's doable.
So can you speak all three now?
Romanian, not as much, because I was 11 when we moved, and I didn't really practice it. But if I go back and even if I hear it here in the streets of the UK.
I bet you can pick it up.
Oh yeah, I can. I understand about 85% of it. I used to be fluent. Yeah. And I occasionally had to jump in and fill in. His mum was the local police station's interpreter, because by that point there were quite a few Romanian seasonal workers there.
Fine.
Some of them got in trouble with the law.
Yep.
And Mum was fluent, but sometimes Mum wasn't home and we didn't have a phone, and the police would turn up. And where's your mother? We have an urgent case. And I don't know. Do you speak Romanian? Yes, I do. Well, come on in with us. I looked about 12, and I was 12. And I remember this Romanian gypsy was there. He broke into somebody's house. And he was just shouting very loudly in Romanian, wasn't interested in giving, his statement or talk, answer any questions. So the police officer said, just tell him to shut up. And I said, I can't tell him that, because I'm like, it's rude and he's a criminal. And he's like, no, you can. I'm telling you, tell him to shut up. So I was like, touched in Gura. Just shut up.
And what did he do?
And he was really shocked. He's a big mustachioed, big gypsy guy, and that kind of, it did shock him. It did. I was quite proud of myself. That worked. So yes, I practiced a little bit, but then I never really had to. And my stepfather was Hungarian, so everyone spoke Hungarian at home.
And what did he do?
So he was an ex-chief police officer.
Right. Okay.
And he was a lovely. So he was previously married to a lady who didn't want any children. She had her own. And he always said, I met the love of my life, and I went from 0 children to 4. So they had one daughter together, but he treated all of us as his daughters, and he was a lovely man.
Is he still around?
No, he passed away. So he's the father of my youngest sister, And she was 11 when our stepdad passed away.
Fine.
So, yeah, pancreatic cancer. There's no coming back from that. But yeah, he was great. He was there. I think he really was the love of my mother's love.
That's
you know
cool.
what I mean? So it was nice to see her happy.
Yeah.
And so we had
I
mean, life was still, we had to work in the summer breaks quite often during the school, as and when the weather was nice. We worked in vineyards to help Mum pay for our books for school, and she had 3 or 4 jobs. She would often get up really early. We'd have to make our own packed lunches to go to school because she was already at work. So it wasn't the easiest life.
Get it now, we're moaning because someone won't pay for a school dinner at school. I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah. But then, it's...
I'm not saying it was right either. I think anyone watching this doesn't suggest it's right, but I just think this perspective...
Yeah, it is.
You seem like a very balanced, resilient... You've got an element... every time we talk about this, it's a bit like when I was people in the military. There's some... You can see the nostalgia in you, but you're finding it funny. It's humorous, maybe. It's something
that's the thing, and there's no point dwelling over any of this because you can't change it.
No.
So you think... And I'm quite a stoically minded person. I think, well, what have I learned from it, and how can I prevent this happening in the future?
Yeah.
And life goes on.
And the lessons were massive, right? And managed what I see, how you've done it in a positive way, become an absolute strength.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I guess when people go through some sort of, and this is not in the grand scheme of things. I didn't grow up in a war-ridden country where I have to fear for my life, really. Do you know what I mean?
I hear.
Compared to that, I had an easy life.
So you've just done what I've done with you then. We here, I've gone perspective on what you've done, you do it again. It's back to this, the old analogy. I'm like, listen, we could be in Africa running 400 miles to get water every day and everyone's dying of famine. But now instead of everyone going, good point, everyone goes, oh, fucking, yeah, but that's not really the case at the moment. He's like, it fucking is the case.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the world, that is the case.
Yeah, actually, in like where we are right now, we are so lucky to be living in a relatively safe country, a free country, and
an entitled one, I think.
Yeah, and if you're born into it, you don't realise that you don't have that perspective, you don't have that comparison, that baseline.
Yeah, which is the sad bit, and we need to be. I think if you're watching, this is something I talk about, and in someone's company who's. My hardship was a bit of time in the military. That was about it. My mum brought me for her own. It was hard for her, but it's nothing on this. Is we just need to be mindful, I think, that we are really entitled. The Western culture is super entitled. So let's go on to the meaty bit then. So what age were you when you got to England?
So I was 19, yes.
Okay.
So I finished my A-levels in Hungary, and I at the time I thought, I'm going to... I also left the family home one night after my mum said, well, you're going to go to the university I picked for you because she's very strict. And I said no, and that's the first time I said no to my mum. So I actually moved out a year before my A-levels.
Okay.
So I thought, right, I'm going to have to prove everyone wrong.
It's definitely
so I had a job. So I already had a job. I worked at the local media station, which they had here in the newspaper, radio and television. So, and that happened by chance, because one of the producers happened to be having a meeting with the headmaster in my high school. I was running the high school radio, and they heard me on the radio. And like, who's this? We want to speak with her. And then they invited me to go along an audition. They were looking for 2 youth program presenters that it was just starting up for the regional TV. And so they invited me to go along. And I remember sitting in this room. They gave me pen and paper, and they said, write about that pen in your hand. That's the audition.
How old were you?
I was 16 when that.
So all this setup's just like work, right? You're like over back to where I used to be.
Seems that feels familiar. So first I had to. So I wrote a whole essay because it was a red pen. So I wrote about the symbolic meaning of red through history and art.
So we have a red pen. What type of pen?
It was just a plain biro.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I describe the pen first, and then I go, well, this would be an unusual pick for writing an essay with, because you would write with blue or black, because red can be a bit jarring for the eyes. You would use that as a mark, highlight maybe. And then I went down the kind of, well, what does red mean? Red, it means in colors, color psychology is passion and fire and fight. And then you look at communism is represented by red in many countries, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's the color of love. So I wrote all about this, you know, the 16-year-old thinking, right, what do
I mean,
they were testing your creativity, basically.
Yeah.
How do you perform on the spot?
Yeah.
And then, you know, they did the camera test, talking to you, and then I was selected in. I was the one half of they chose a young boy as well to lead.
And what were you getting paid at that time?
Nothing.
Just no.
No, they were like
just not a job.
No,
Then.
you're just getting it for the fun of it, and not at 16. From 8, I did start to get paid from 18, but from.
Does that put you in a better footing though? Because you've got to try and remember that society of that time in your country was very different to what we're probably used to. So it's all right to sit there going, "Oh, you didn't get paid," but me, I'm doing it at the moment. I do a lot with TQual students out of the college. Just go and volunteer somewhere for a month. You're in the right place. I've had people here. You'll learn more than you could imagine.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine doing that. That's like just being 16 and do that to get the job is a massive plus.
I would not be. I don't think I'd have the business today that I have. I don't think I would have a book published.
Yeah.
If I hadn't said yes to that. And I was petrified. I was always, you know, I still struggle with social anxiety massively. I just mask it really well.
Brilliant. So we've uncovered it. So is it masked, or let's talk about if it's unmasked. It's really unhelpful for everyone around, right? It would make me feel uncomfortable. It make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's unproductive. So if we mean by masked, using it in a manner that's productive and not letting it be unproductive, I think the two things are it's either one or the other. You don't just sit in the middle with it. And I say this, I've had some close loved ones talking about this anxiety piece. Now, I've been to war. We've also been to, like, not in a bad way, there was nothing to the Middle East, somewhere there, but still in a combat environment where there's, like, getting petrol bombs thrown at you.
Yeah, you're constantly on the...
And the difference is, of course you feel
high
anxious.
alert.
Yeah, you're like, fuck, I'm a bit nervous here, do you know what I mean? But that's normal. Without it, you're just going to perform terribly, I think.
Yeah.
So I think, adding context to what you're saying, so if you say by masked, you've got... I think, listen, you're someone that was written books. I've got really particular with words, probably to the detriment of people around me. Thinking, fucking hell, here he goes again, just spit it out. But I quite enjoy trying to make sure what I choose to say has some specificity behind it. So mask could feel like it has a bit of a negative connotation, just in my interpretation of it. So if we say, I don't know, help me choose, come on.
Manage.
Yes.
Or, yeah. I feel like...
You've managed it, that's better. I think.
Yes. And, you know, exposure by repetition helps.
Yeah.
You know, the more you do that thing that you're anxious about, the easier it becomes. Yeah.
Yeah,
you still get the initial, you know, like if I have to go, I'm doing a talk in Berlin in a couple of weeks in front of about 1,000 people, and I'm massively that's my biggest keynote that I'm doing. But I know in the past where I've done anything like this on a smaller scale, the first 5 minutes were scary, and the few nights leading up to it, to the point where my neck would seize up. That's where my stress is like, I can't turn I better not drive on that day because I can't look over my shoulders. Exactly, like a right cripple. And but within 5 minutes, I am in the flow.
There you go.
Nobody in the room exists. I just know what I want to say. I'm passionate about that topic. And I just want to make sure that the people in the room understand where I'm coming from, and that then I can answer the questions accordingly at the end of the session.
So if we just explore that again, because I'm trying to think of how do we take away a real life story here that's well different to anyone else I spoke to, who's miles different from my own. There's a nugget in here. If you weren't anxious and you got egotistic, or you got, let's call it overconfident in your, I think you perform, the flow state wouldn't happen, the outcome of the conversation probably be less, and you'd probably come across as some very egotistical.
Yeah, I think I think if you're that exhibitionist kind of person, which I think, you know, if you have high anxiety, you're not really an exhibitionist. That's the
and I think it's that edge that keeps you something that people will digest, listen to. We've talked about something before about a person we've both seen online that we were like, just on the way they appeared, and then needed, as you described, something, I don't know. And I've had people, I've probably had actually, bringing down a peg or two, thought I was like fucking Mr. Amazing at something, then realised I wasn't. I mean, I've had something in my life that did. I thought I was an entrepreneur until I wasn't. I was losing a business and I didn't know some of the probably actual real shareholder, board management skills, all the other legal stuff that if you were a businessman, you know those.
Yeah. the reality check that sometimes we all need. And I guess having that awareness means that you have got the intelligence to be able to recognize that in yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
So anxiety is good from this. Just learn to get used to it and live with it. Learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable, something I use a lot with a lot of the talks I do. So we did, I did one with Shrewsbury School and talk about that very nature. And the minute you're not comfortable, you're not probably growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And anxiety, I'm thinking back, where, for me, so I used to compete in gymnastics first when I was young, because in Romania, they come and look at you doing PE lessons, these trainers from the government. And if you, show any inkling of, you're a bit bendy, okay, you're becoming a gymnast, and your parents had no choice.
That's the prerequisite, bendy.
Yeah. I started doing gymnastics from about 5 or 6, and then continued a bit in Hungary. But then my knees were getting a bit funky. So I remember the family doctor saying, if you don't want to end up with arthritis by the age of 30, I recommend you stop. This. And we were third at Hungarian national level. So I stopped, and then I took up chess competitively because that was less strenuous on the knees.
Did you just say chess?
Chess,
I love a game of chess. Are you good? Of course you're fucking good. I bet you
are. I competed quite a bit in high school. And I won 2 student championships in Hungary 2 years in a row. But at just high school.
Don't worry about that.
What is it?
Chess is a good game, right?
It's a really good game.
Where does, I suppose I always think it's quite interesting when you look at someone's parents of the humble, wholesome butcher, traditional element, your mum's super, this has got to be a clash of them both, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. But, I think, because I'm a massive book nerd, and I think, I remember my mum saying when she would walk home as a young schoolgirl, on the days whether she was working late, she would stop in the library, stock up on books, and she would go back to her family home, which I kid you not looks like a little wooden shack. And they had one room between 5 siblings and the father, and mum. Part of the inside that they had like a dirt mud built kind of fire container. I can't remember. I don't know what you would call it, but it had a chimney as well, which was all built of mud, and sort of packed in. I watched
these videos, the survival videos on Facebook now, where people build these shelters. They get the old fashioned mud, and you put hay in it. And you make That's
exactly what my mother grew up in. So she said, but on the top, towards the top part, towards the ceiling, they had a hole formed for it where they would dry things, or they would put the bread up in there. She would sit up there with her candle and read her books late into the night whilst the rest of the family was sleeping. And I find that magical. Imagine that.
Yeah. I'm going to show you the videos to watch. I watch them just for this. These 2 guys, they just disappear into the woods. They'll do 3 days with the dog. And they'll just find the one last one I saw was it's a big oak tree, but it's probably cut down, it's hollowed. So he's basically half cut it off, hollowed it out, dug a hole underneath it, created a false floor. So the way in and out of this bunker through there, create the little fire at the other end, all of the stuff you're talking about, because it's attention grabbing, isn't it? Yeah. So I know it's real, but they're getting paid on it. But I'll send you some.
Of course.
But these things have obviously been learned somewhere along the line, and people used to live in them.
Passed down generations, right? But I think that's where the kind of wanting to learn and know more, because my mum never really, I remember she would always say to us, get an education, that's something no one can take away from you. And, we're not from a well-to-do family. You don't have generational wealth. We don't know the right people in this society. So your only way out, your only way to have a better quality of life is to study hard. And she was really strict about that. Something, I think, to the detriment of not that much childhood, but she just wanted to put the best for us. And she didn't have an example, because our grandmother left the family from when they were all young.
She's just doing what she felt was right.
Exactly.
From here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then chess, then what did you learn from chess other night to play it? What's that? Because I like chess. I'm probably not very good at it like you, but I do like it.
So, I remember being taught by my chess master who would say, before you make a move, analyze why your opponent has made the previous move. What is the intent?
Yeah.
And then what's your next best possible move? I analyze it from every angle, and then what's the opponent's next best possible move, and then before you play all that out in your head, because every single move has a consequence.
Yep.
And if you were chess grandmaster, generally can think five, six moves ahead, right?
Yeah, I could do 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's my limit. That's my limit as well. And so, but I catch myself if I'm interviewing. So say I'm onboarding a new client, and I go, and then I've used these skills in journalism, and it's not to manipulate, but to get the best possible answer out of that person.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
To get the best possible story out of them for their own benefit.
And it's time saving.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
So I've done it. So if I see that one, for me, my career, it was just constantly, because I was quite impulsive. I'd just stop and think, right, fucking hell, that may feel the best one. What about that one? And then you'd be like, well, that one might take a bit, but then it lead on to this one. And that's where the 2 or 3, I think, served me well.
I bet that must, if you're an impulsive person, to then not immediately make the move that first comes to you, it must be quite an internal battle for you.
Fuck, there's a lot going on here, mate. Little Dave and fucking we're there chatting. In fact, I say this, I've got 2 very good friends, and they're both there.
Yeah.
Normally, and I've learned to go, because I've used to make some terrible decisions by this. But I thought, what can I keep fucking moaning about it, or just try and do something about it? And then he understood, goes, and listen, you'll write an email, you get an email, mate, I fucking delete about half my emails every day. I'm like, delete that, can't send that one, David out. And my boss taught me that as actual a strategy, just because of the way I'm quite emotionally driven.
Yeah.
Because I've got another thing, whereas if I'm not emotionally engaged, I'm just not fucking interested. So I had to learn that for me to be present and stuff, I'll talk loads, I'll interrupt you because I'm getting all excited. Some people don't like it, but then to overcome the investment where it gets diffused, took that, because it's like I could piss on my own fire as if that's an analogy. But yeah, it took a lot. Just go, stop. Is this really as I feel it is? No, it's not. And then assess. So yeah. Benefits of chess.
Do you think that urge to interrupt, because I have it, and I struggle with it. It's also cultural. Everybody talks over everyone in Hungary and Romania, and it's like sounds like a big shouting fest around the dinner table, but they're all having conversations and they all can make sense of it.
Yeah.
But I also know that is rude. I've learned that over the years in this country. But I feel like it's an ADHD trait.
Yeah, because we're normally finishing each other's sentences. See, but that's only nice. See, you don't just... that's interesting, because we spoke what we have. Obviously, once I've a feeling that, like, there's loads of interest, there's loads of value, there's loads of synergy, it's, like, cool. But because on the flip side, if I'm not, I'm just like... And I'm terrible at fucking trying to pretend I'm interested, do you know what I mean? You're like... But the conversation... But I haven't had to finish many of yours. One, probably because I'm aware I'm probably on camera and it look rude, but I don't think I've had the need to do it. I only tend to do it if someone's taking too fucking long and it's like...
Make a point. Yeah.
And it's probably shit anyway.
You feel like just spit it out, or you already know what they're about to say, but they are going in such a roundabout way that it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's physically painful to listen to that. I'm like, oh my God, just go to the point. You're wasting my time.
That's 100%. And I've got used to, because I'm normally reaching my phone. I'm like, fucking, I'm stuck. Because I can't get my phone, because that's the height of disrespect. You know what I mean? Go on then while you're trying to figure it out. But no, it is. But then to your point, how is that in one culture? For me, that's the height of engagement. I mean, look why, my own humble opinion, everyone's on fucking line, craving for attention, not able to understand how to create it or sit in it. What more attention do you want than everyone fucking talking at each other? Oh, it means it's the opposite of being uninterested, right?
High energy. Those are high energy. Yeah, I remember. And it's the tone as well, like how different cultures speak and how animated they are when they talk.
Look at Germans.
And it affects your personality over time.
In what way?
I feel a different person when I speak in English compared to when I speak in Hungarian.
And elaborate.
So, I think Hungarians can come across more direct, more aggressive, just because even the language to speak, it sounds like machine gun.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my sisters lives in Didcot. They all followed after me one by every couple of years, one little duckling followed after the older sister. But Aniko lives in Didcot, and I remember this many years ago with my ex, we were driving there and no GPS yet on the phone. So I rang her whilst he was driving and asked her for directions as we were getting closer to Didcot. And she was on loudspeaker, we were chatting away, and I finished the conversation, and Stephen, my ex, goes, "Why were you arguing?" And I said, "No, we weren't. We were just having a normal conversation. She was giving me directions. I was saying how far, we're probably going to be there in 20 minutes or so." And he said, "I dread to think what you sound like when you're arguing." Yeah. Plates flying.
Yeah. It's not. We're just not throwing stuff.
Now a knife collection comes out.
So I can sympathise because recently I've got the whole Hitler piece. I actually heard a translated thing. I was like, fucking hell. I've always said, I said, there's no way that bloke could have been. I'm my best mate. She speaks French, she speaks German, so she's elaborate a little bit on how she looks. But it's like, how crazy is it? And his accent, and he's talking about. I think one of the speeches I listened to is like a politically orientated conversation that's basically worried about the state of Germany and how upset everyone is.
He was a great orator and writer, actually. He was a super smart, horrible to say, but actually he was. But that because of the language that doesn't.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, no wonder. He's like, shouting at everyone. I always used to think, no one can shout that much. You can't be shouting. How pissed off can you be? Like, he's been going 20 minutes. So I agree. But how does it make you feel, back to your original question, between a conversation you have in English versus that? What does it make you feel like?
Yeah, so the only way that I'm trying to think of an analogy. So when I go back to Hungary now, I find most Hungarians really rude, and so my hackles. I'm already like. I feel more British.
Yeah, it's
they switch.
How crazy is that? Because you even know that it's not, but it's like an instant reaction that you've been conditioned to.
Yes, and I do, and then sometimes I feel, actually, I work with a lot of American clients who are very direct, and they don't beat about the bush when they're unhappy about something, they just like, they don't even say I'd much rather tell you, they will just say, I don't like this, can you change it? And you don't see the British clients are just very sort of, they try and skirt around, they're worried about offending you, and actually, would you not rather just know?
Exactly.
But it's so difficult not to take it personally. That's the thing I had to learn, because I've been so polite and British for so long. I've lived here for longer than I lived in both my home countries.
Yeah.
That I am very much of, I feel like I'm part of.
But let's then undo the fact. I think both are okay. It's the strike in the middle. Now, I've worked in an environment where we're in the army. Fucking hell. Like, you just imagine, dark humour, took me ages. I was ginger spotty, 16. I literally, to be called Ginge was like, I hated it. Fucking hell, by the time I come out, my mum said Dave once and I didn't respond. I just got so used to Ginge. And a word that once I felt bullied and all persecuted, I couldn't give a toss anymore. I'm like, I am ginger. Like, just the colour of my hair and the complexion of my skin doesn't define that I was the one at the time that took it negatively to, there's Prince Harry, they have a ginger calendar these days and stuff, and girls actually got fetish for ginger people. It's just like, I think the thing for me is I've learnt to go on, and it comes on to another one, I can't drop that even on my own podcast, the C word, that's about as polite, and I've only just met you. But in one environment on the building site, if I wasn't coming out 24/7, I'm a digger driver, someone wasn't saying, all right, you weren't really well liked. When I was commercial director at Monster Energy dealing with Coca-Cola in the head office, if I'd have dropped that word, sacked. So I don't think it's less. I'm someone that tries hard. So I'm not what you say, how are you saying it, what's your intent behind it. I can tell if you're trying to be rude to me or not. It took me years to probably get to know it, and it's my choice to go, are you being rude because I pissed you off? Are you being rude because we don't align on values? That's fine. Or are you just being rude because you're trying to piss me off? Then the last one, you're in trouble because I'm going to do it back. Yeah. And then we're into a negative decline of behaviour. Yeah. But I think that's how I've chose to do it. And I also think, and do you know why? Because it used to make me feel shit if I was like, because sometimes I probably assessed that someone said something to me that wasn't as bad as it felt, and I was the only loser. It was just them, like you say, saying it
personally.
Yeah. And also on the flip side, taking it personally, that shows you've got standards. Maybe you take what you do seriously. Yeah, you value what you do.
Yeah, and that line changes as you grow older as well, and you get more experienced.
Yeah, I think you just know you're fucking good anyway, so I'm joking. But it's interesting. So again, if you've watched this, there's two people here, very different lives, similar age, similar success in our careers, that are still here dissecting like the dial, I suppose, on how you take things and how you communicate people. But I do believe I like the typically British attempt to be accommodating. I think we're over accommodating right now, if I'm honest. I mean, with it fucking line, it's taking the piss. Like, just stop.
It's too much. Yeah,
it's too much. We need to find some middle ground again, some balance. But I do believe that's part of being British that I think is a good thing to be doing. Like, didn't we start the justice system or something? Like, we created like democracy in its purest form started here with the judiciary system and things. I think if I've got this wrong, please don't start hammering on the comments. Just fucking help educate me.
For some reason, I want to say, but I think the Romans and the Greeks would also claim that. So you just have to pinpoint it where in history or which form it became.
Well, didn't we just take over the Roman Empire anyway, didn't we? Look, we're not going there. This is about you. So we've got to a place. You've come to Britain. Let's talk about where the careers started to build. What was the first job, role?
Yes. So, I mean, when I came, Hungary wasn't part of the EU yet, so I couldn't come and work, but I could come as an au pair.
Okay.
And so I left uni.
Yep.
After the first years, I was studying for a double degree in English and journalism. I had a scholarship for that, which was actually an interesting story because I got into it all makes sense. It will all make sense in a minute. Why I left, there's a reason why I left. But how I got into it was I already moved out of the family home. Parents couldn't pay for my education. I had to sort myself out. And so I thought, I'm going to go after this scholarship. And I was into journalism already. I was already working in the media. And I found this uni, which they did a media course and English, and I enjoyed English. I thought I was really good at it at the time.
Right.
I was better at the kids my age because being bilingual, then it was easier to learn a third language.
You just pick it up.
And anyway, I decided to. I just heard from an older Hungarian friend through our friendship group that there was a brothel outside of the town where I was working.
Right.
It was horrible.
Okay.
Where they trafficked some women,
right.
And there were some girls who were forcibly made to work there and so on. And I thought, nobody's talking about this. This should be written up into a story. And I want to write that story and send it in for this scholarship because of the journalism degree, I could nail it.
Yep.
Or to apply for it, not saying I'd get the degree straight away because of a story, but that was it was an undercover project.
A risky one, was it not?
Yes, because I was 18 and looked about 14. And I had, basically my idea was that I go and pretend that I want to be a dancer there because they also had dancing girls.
Right.
So I went to my older friends and said, right, help me dress for the occasion because I didn't own those kind of clothes. And I went with this older Hungarian guy who knew the place or knew one of the bouncers, something like that. And we turned up and nobody asked for my ID, even though I was over 18. But I know I didn't look 18. So that was the first red flag, nobody's asking who this really little short young. Okay. So we said, can we come in? Because they were like, well, who's this girl coming in? Normally it was only men going in.
Yeah.
And my older friend said, oh, she's interested in possibly dancing here. So they looked me up and down and they let me in.
Were you scared when you
Yes, petrified.
Because
I didn't know how it was going to, will I even speak with these girls. And so there were some girls dancing around poles. There were some girls, they were all half naked, serving drinks, coming and taking your order from the table. And one of the girls came up and I said, I'm interested in working here, dancing here. Can I speak with someone? Just one of you girls, just what's your experience? And then she was sort of, didn't say anything, went up to the bar, spoke with the guy behind the bar, they're pointing at me, they're both looking at me. And then she comes over and then she's like, okay, yeah, you can ask me questions. And that was still very basic because it's out in the open. The guy behind the bar must have been somebody who's had some sort of decision-making power or something there
Yep.
for her to ask. And then I thought, well, I need to get one of the girls in private. Otherwise, I can't ask the real questions I want to ask, like, why are they here? Why are they doing this? Are they being forced? What's really happening here?
Yeah.
So then I said to her, do you think I could have a lap dance from one of the girls? And she was really shocked, because I want to see what it's
Smart.
like.
Yeah,
I want to see
yeah.
what the job is like.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
And she looked a bit like, that's not something we normally do, but should be fine. And she went back to the guy behind the bar, and
he didn't know and started clicking on it. It was weird or anything, or
he
just
didn't, because I dressed the part.
You'd never expect it then, though, right?
No. So anyway, and I didn't know. I thought I'd just try, see if it works out. And then anyway, the waitress comes back and she said, "Well, who do you want to give you your lap dance?" And I just pointed at one of the girls on the poles, and they were like, "Fine." And took me around the back in like a curtained off area, not a room, but loud music going on. And I spotted some rooms, doors, men were going in and out. So obviously that was more than dancing going on there. And I don't need to translate that.
Yeah,
I suspect. And so the bouncer pulls the curtain, and then this girl starts sort of doing her show. And I thought, you don't need to dance. I just want to talk to you. And she's like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And I said, I just quickly want to know. You don't need to give me your name, but what's your story? Yeah. Why are you here? And she was instantly a Ukrainian woman, but Russian. She lived in Ukraine. She was a mother of 3, like young. She must have been 25.
Yeah. She
said her and her husband have agreed for her to go and work in this brothel because it was owned by somebody from Russia. So that's where the connection was. And so that she could send money home to feed her children. Whoa. And she was only allowed to go and visit them once a year. And that, there's a lot more personal details to that, but I wrote. And so, I'm talking with her. I got a lot out of her. And then we hear this screaming, another woman somewhere screaming, and we were all ushered out, and this one comes out with blood down her face. Turns out a man started beating her about because she wouldn't perform something that she was not agreed. And
did the people not step in, or what?
Well, it was too late by that point, but obviously she ran out of the room, and then I thought, okay, we better leave because this is getting a bit, just worrying. And then that was it. And I wrote that up, and I got 3rd place in this journalist competition, and that earned me enough to go for the scholarship. Because you got like extra points then with the credits.
How did you feel after coming out of there?
I just couldn't believe that people would sacrifice, essentially, and also knowing as a child how it felt to be abandoned by a mother, even though my mother did it, I get essentially for similar reasons, right? How so many lives and families, lives and children's lives are affected by needs, by surviving, the need to survive,
and the things people will do, especially mothers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that got you into scholarship?
Yes, but turns out my English wasn't as I thought it was, and I
and what? Go on, why?
And then, well, it was just so the university I got into, it was full of rich kids.
Yeah,
I was on a scholarship, I didn't need to pay, but these kids all spent like a year or 2 in the UK or in the US. Their English was flawless, so the baseline level was already really high up. Okay. And our English professor was a native speaker from the UK, didn't speak a word in Hungarian. So even if I needed help, he could explain stuff, but I didn't understand half of it. So I was suddenly struggling from having an A level in English to suddenly being dropped into this much more competent environment.
Yeah. What did you do?
So I decided to come to the UK as an au pair.
Fine.
Applied for an au pair visa.
Yeah.
I had an invitation letter from a family and got the visa stamped in as I arrived at Heathrow Airport. The invitation was from a family I just found online in some forum. Didn't know that they were blacklisted by all the au pair agencies. So I ended up with a dodgy family. Because that's my luck.
This is how old are you now?
That was London, 19.
All right, so we've walked into a black blacklisted au pair family. What the?
Yes, who were by that they had a 2-year-old.
How do you get black?
Normally an au pair, the au pair visa is for 2 years, so they should have had an au pair from whenever they took an au pair on still with them. But I didn't notice at the time I was their 8th au pair. And they just locked me in with the child. I had to do a lot more than 4 hours work.
They locked you in?
They went to work and I had no way of getting out. I was just in the house and the garden with the little boy. And I was just really naive. I just thought, well, they'll pay me and then eventually I'll go and maybe find someone. But I didn't.
So you didn't get to see anyone?
No. And then...
Who are these people? They live here right now as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you still know them?
So she was... I'm not in touch with them. She was a visa issuing officer at Gatwick Airport and he was an ex-IBM manager. So on paper they sounded, absolutely perfect. But I was literally treated like a slave. And then the alarm bells rang where they started... They made me go along to their Pentecostal church every Sunday.
Their what?
Pentecostal church.
What's that?
It's a type of religion church, Pentecostals.
A new one? Didn't know about that.
Constant gospel singing, and so nothing against it, but it was not my world. But I had no choice. And then... Or I didn't even question it, I was just so naive.
Religious and generally, and this is me just talking, and I'm not that's the antithesis, if that's the right word, of religion. Locking in a human being to look after your kid.
Yeah, so I remember the next door neighbour in the garden was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was hanging out their laundry, and I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. You sure let me know if everything's And I think back now, I was just like, fine, I'll just do what I need to do.
There's no bears around anymore.
No, exactly.
I'm not putting the logs in a fire.
Perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought, I'm here to learn English. I'm like, I'm earning £80 a week a month pocket money, £80 a month. First month they paid me, second month they didn't. And then during that month they were saying, they said, oh, we're bringing over the husband's brother from Nigeria because... you should meet him. And I was like, maybe I'll meet him, whatever. I had a boyfriend back in Hungary. They knew that. And, but so I didn't presume that there was any weirdness. But then, yes, they were like, oh, he would make an excellent husband. And then I thought, okay, this is now weird. Even then, I was like, up to this point, I was really naive.
Hello.
And I said to them, right, I'm not comfortable with this. I would like to leave. I'm going to find another family to work with. And the woman she went mad. She's like, you're not allowed to leave because you got the visa because of me and you will be an illegal immigrant if you leave. So I knew at the time that one of my high school friends and this girl from town, she was a close friend of mine. By that point, she was an au pair in Bristol. And I said, hey, I went into an internet cafe because they wouldn't allow me to use their computer. So I emailed her.
Internet cafe, yeah.
Internet cafes was still a thing.
Yeah.
This is 25 years ago.
Smart, yeah.
And emailed her, and she's like, actually, yeah, there's I know the family friend of the family I work for. They are looking for an au pair in Bristol, and then she's arranged that and wrote back saying, we can come and collect you. Like the guy his son needs looking after. We're coming up on Sunday, and so I told this family. They said, you're not allowed. You're not. And so I knew they were on their way. And by that point, I had like a top-up phone or something. So I remember texting my friend, Ceaușescu, saying, they are not letting me go. So she said, don't worry, we're going to call the police. So by the time we're there, the police are there. And so the police turns up just before my friend and the family. And we explain what the situation is. And the woman's saying, well, she's not allowed to leave because she will be an illegal immigrant. And now... I'm a little 19-year-old from Hungary, an au pair. She's a visa issuing officer at Gatwick Airport. Who do you think the police believes? And it wasn't like they could look it up on the internet at the time. No. They were trying to get in touch with the Hungarian ambassador who was on holiday. So what the police then said to me, well, you'll just have to wait here until and I said, no, I don't feel safe now. I am not staying now. She's even accused me of stealing. She said, go through her. She was going mental. Go through her bag. She's stolen from me. They go through and find nothing, of course. By that point, my friend and the family that I was going to work for arrive, and they're just sort of watching it all unfold. My friend's pissing herself laughing, thinking this is hilarious.
What a good mate.
Especially because then the police says, well, the only way you can leave is if we arrest you until we find out what your legal status is.
Quick whack a copper.
I said, fine.
Yeah, what do I need to do?
Because I knew I did nothing wrong. I was like not that naive. I knew that I could work for another family, but what this woman was telling them, she said that I was on my visa as only allowed to work for them, but that was not the case. But until the police found out, so we all went in, apart from the family, and then that's where it transpired that they'd been reported to the police already by other previous au pairs, who only lasted days.
So you
so
still outlasted.
3 months. I was there for 3 months.
Stoicism.
In the first. And had I had money, because they didn't pay me after the first month, if I had money to buy a one-way ticket back to Hungary and never look back, never come back to the UK, I would have.
Would you?
And I'm so glad I didn't have the money.
I was about to say that now, yeah. Look where you are now. I mean, you just took a train ride to Shrewsbury, had to sit on a picnic table for half an hour in the sun.
Yes, I am living it out.
So, au pair off to Bristol.
Yes, and then Bristol, so I was an au pair for this family. Hungary joined the EU just a month after my visa expired. So technically, for a month, I was indeed an illegal immigrant. But I was
going to say something of this, right? You had a phone and a hotel and all sorts.
Yeah, no, I did not, but I was working already. So I got myself a job, and I was studying at college. I was studying graphic design at the time. And then ended up working in a pub, waitressing loads. My Hungarian boyfriend joined me at the time. Yeah. We had no money between us. He didn't speak a word of English. I was on minimum wage, couldn't afford the bus to go to the...
What was minimum wage back then?
£6 something.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I was walking good 45 minutes to then do a 12-hour shift, waitressing, and then walk back home and to sleep in this shared house on a blow-up mattress that would deflate in the middle of the night.
Right, get all like rolly up in
So yeah, and that went on for a few months until somehow I managed to get a job, get my then Hungarian boyfriend a job, even though he didn't speak English and he slowly learned anyway. But one of the regulars was worked at Airbus.
Okay.
And she said, you should apply for a job there because you're way too smart to be working here. I was like, fine, I'll apply. And I went in, interviewed, and then started as a general archivist, like admin archivist, and then sort of worked my way up, secretary assistant, executive assistant, then skills and competence manager, then communications manager for the whole landing gear department. That's within a span of 12 years.
Go on.
So I spent 12 years at Airbus, had my daughter.
Wait, let's see that. What did you learn from there? Because this is like the previous 12 years have been, as we've heard, and you got 12 years bang into probably one of the biggest blue chips that we've got still today.
Massively, yeah. White collar engineers, a medley of cultural kind of engineers from all over the world. French company.
What were some of the takeaways that you took from that?
What was interesting is I went from, not speaking very good English to then being dropped in an environment where I was really, truly forced to learn not just everyday English, but serious communications, corporate language, sitting in with meetings first, just not being able to say anything, then to then slowly working my way up and actually me being the one doing a presentation, and then suddenly me being the one telling the managers, like, right, this is the comms plan, guys.
So I'd say you find this is your comms role.
Yes. But that's where my journalistic background
and
came in, even though it's all led, exactly. And then, so 2017, I took a year off because I had my daughter. Yeah. And thinking that I'll go back, it will be fine. Like by that point, it involved a lot of travel to Toulouse, to the HQ. I was just, just about feeling like I'm making it. And so I thought, I was convinced I'm going to go back because surely I haven't reached a glass ceiling there yet. But then it turns out they wanted me back full time. And once I had a 1-year-old, suddenly your perspective changes. And you think, I can't leave a 1-year-old behind for days on end just to go and do these trips, business trips and long days. And it wasn't like always trips, but it was demanding, So then I just set out.
Plus, I guess, your value of being a mother and the time you spend with your child's going to be a little bit different than everyone else's.
That's the thing.
That's more important to you than ever, I guess.
Yeah, but also I'm still an ambitious person, so it's like,
really?
How about I do all the things?
Yeah. You're talking bollocks, to be honest. I think, you don't have to just pretend.
All right. I know.
Definitely
trying to convince you.
Definitely ambitious. I agree. So you didn't want to go. So you sacrificed it, but just not sacrificed it. You chose the instant maternal decision was spend time with your daughter.
Well, then I used that because at the time, it's not like I was already for a number of years alongside Airbus. I was working as a public service interpreter for Bristol City Council.
Okay.
Helping like in hospital.
What was that like?
Very taxing emotionally, and I had to give that
some
up.
shitty stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like, an example I can give you. There's Hungarian. So one Friday afternoon, Airbus would finish work at 12, and I remember driving. I was almost home, the other side of Bristol, and I have a phone call from the council saying we have a Hungarian family. So the father is in hospice care. He doesn't have long. The ex-wife travelled over from Hungary because the son lived with the father in the UK in Bristol, but the woman doesn't speak any English. We need an interpreter because he wants to talk with the mother of his son because he doesn't have long left. Can you come in right now? And I think, okay, this is important. I need to help them. I arrived before the woman and the 7-year-old son, and a nurse, I don't know, pulled me aside saying, he's just passed away. You're going to have to tell them.
Oh.
And you are trained for this, and completely kind of not cold, but you impartial, not showing emotions. And then you have an in-house psychologist for you to later unpack and deal with all of that. And so I've told them it was not very nice because the 7-year-old as well, telling a child that your father just died. And then I remember going out, sitting in the car, and I cried for an hour, and I thought I can't do this anymore. So I had to give that up. But that gave me a taste of, freelancing, being self-employed.
Yep.
And plus, I failed all the Hungarian parts of the tests because the English parts I passed with flying colours. But the Hungarians, because by that point I'd been living here for too long, and they call it local language interference, meaning I've been here for too long and I've
skill fade.
Well, yeah, exactly. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
So I retrained. I set up as a VA whilst I was retraining. So I just went on LinkedIn thinking, I've got some skills. I can write stuff for people. I started doing some social media work for small business owners. I started going along, and it was really, I'd go to some networking meeting in Bristol, and it was full of old white men. And I was this little foreign woman saying, I'm going to call my business Vampire Digital. You're being stupid. Nobody's going to take you seriously.
God.
So apart from one guy who was a will writer, but used to be an ex-copywriter, and he said, go all in, use all the puns. You will be, that's what will make you stand out. But everybody else was poo-pooing it.
Yeah, but fucking let's look back now. They were all poo-pooing it because they didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, I mean,
do you mean
look, I didn't know if it was going to work, but I had to take a chance and retrain. At the same time, I started studying with the Institute of Data and Marketing to get some marketing relevant qualifications. So got a couple of diplomas, and I was able to fast track a degree.
Just chucked another couple of diplomas in there.
Well, no, they're not full diplomas, but then the degree level qualification, because of my Airbus experience, instead of 3 years, I was able to do it in 1 year.
Got you.
And
talking to someone with, I think I got 4 GCSEs. Done.
Well, but that's the thing. I really just learned it all by doing it. That was all theory, and it's like great to show the piece of paper. Nobody's ever asked to see that piece of paper. Yes, I have the frameworks of how to conduct market research and competitor analysis, but if you have a bit between your ears, you can find that.
This is another thing. So we've just, and again, if you're watching this, neither's right or wrong. I'm passionate about obviously the version of the way I did it because it's all I know a little bit. It's comfortable. It's great to sit opposite where this conversation will be aired properly. But I recently had to do a entrepreneurs workshop at Shrewsbury School. It's one of the most privileged private schools in the country. The irony, amazing. Mum's chuffed. Yeah. She's apparently, we talked about ADHD. Mum was a SEN teacher. She knew it from young. I was like, what the fuck didn't you tell me? She, what purpose would they given you? I was like, I would feel like I understand. So I'm not an issue. I had to put together a workshop typical fashion. Left it till the day before, and we knew 3 months before. But I had a real problem when I was like, shit, I don't know how I know or do what I do. So in the absence of the formal education, I didn't have the frameworks, but I just knew. Thank fuck for Claude. 7 minutes, and it made me...
sense of your...
Well, they just give it a book that they given to all the students. They invite schools from around the area, like state schools. It's an amazing day. And I just give it the brief.
Yeah.
Claude sat there, created a workbook. We had a 6-pillar strategy around what's the problem, find a problem, solution, understand your consumer, commercials. I'm like, I know all this. Didn't even need to read the deck that it made me to pitch more than once because I knew what I was doing. But I'd have took 2 weeks to try and figure out a flow or the things that are on autopilot because I spent 15, 20 years around people that are way better than me that I was completely, looking back, lucky to being around. So I'm not...
you learned from the doing. You
all from the doing.
Literally on the ground.
Literally. But now I'm going to get more appreciative of frameworks. So let's call that education. I've got the principal from Troop School coming on to talk just about this. So I guess the frameworking piece allows me, or when I understand it, will allow me to help pass on knowledge. So I'm not going to poo-poo education like I normally have. So you've got the frameworks for everything. Everything about the thread of what you're doing is communication, anchored in communication, good communication, or being able to...
That's it. To say things in a way that will help the person who has to say it connect with the person who has to hear it or read it, see it. And sometimes people struggle translating that in a meaningful manner.
Yeah, hugely. I think if we talk about some of the things I've mentioned a few times, using being mindful of words and what they mean, and the nuances between different words.
And words are powerful. You can make people do things that disagree with their values. There's like, I am all for, like a lot of marketing is unethical marketing.
Great.
All the sales, like conversion and sales tactics to try and get you into their funnel. I disagree with all of that. I call out the marketing dude bros all the time. And yes, that means I'm building slower. And yes, that means I haven't made millions yet.
It's authentic and it's credible and it serves your purpose. It fits
That's the thing.
Your thing. I'm exactly the same. We've hardly done any advertising. It just pisses me off when I look at lead because I'm like, it's a height of manipulation. Because I've got very good. I can manipulate people if I want. And when I understood human psychology, I was using it to my own benefit and it didn't serve me well when I grew up a little bit. And reminding myself of some of the male traditional values that the military taught me, probably. But yeah, it's too...
You feel military has sorted you out? Is that what you feel?
Fucking hell, sorted me out. It's a bit of a stretch, but no, I joke. Yes, massively. In a strange sense, it's taken 15 years for us to look back on it and say, hardship. And then still finding people within those instances that did the right thing. You probably come across it the whole way we've heard about it. All that fucking duress, dictatorship, like extreme levels, there's still people on the way that were doing the right thing despite this shower of shit behind them. I think that's the thing I take away. Try and be the person that still does the right thing, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. But I think, if you look at, there are so many studies around successful entrepreneurs, and I don't consider, like define success. What is success?
I like that.
I haven't made millions, but in terms of my mark on the word,
right? What's success for you? Let's go through it for people. What's your success?
I was here. I left a mark.
Brilliant.
That's my success. That I have made a difference, however tiny that is. I have made a difference in some people's lives through my work, through my words.
I found you by doing just that, and in a really authentic way. On the things that I witnessed. And I know the bloke is literally like, he's someone that helped me quite a lot. Did he ever tell you? We first got a job.
Oh, Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie.
Yeah.
So we did telesales together. And the fuck, I got the job, I don't even know. I thought HR was human resources, like you farmed people. He used to walk back with me from Digbeth in this shitty little office near the abattoir where they killed chickens. And I'd have an A4 bit of paper where I just heard words. I haven't got a fucking clue what it meant. P45, I was like, what's that? And he'd help me understand what they meant. And then within, what would it be, 10 years, I was commercial director of Monster Energy. It's weird. And I created a food delivery business valued at millions on paper, but it was still there. But Eddie was the foundation of literally turning that
He's a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I always, when I speak with clients or anyone, I feel like I need to really get into their minds and into their psyche. You say, can you name 3 people who feel like they were fundamentally influential on your life, on your character? It sounds like Eddie might have been one of them.
Huge.
Yeah,
he was the one who used to calm me down. They used to call me Hambo. They wanted to, him and Dave Welton, we 3 of us used to sit there in Brindley Place, and they made me a picture of Rambo and put my face on it and called it Hambo. Dave Hamlet, for those who you fucking obviously for my first second. So I agree. But so less about me a minute. Let's go back. So now you've got this digital agency. Is that the right description?
So digital marketing agency, but we're predominantly in, we're a boutique agency, deliberately keeping it slow and deliberately anti-AI.
This is
because I could have gone. The thing is, and this is an insane business decision to make, to produce premium human-written content when the market wants cheap AI slop, or so it seems.
So I'm going to give you what I see as an agency owner. Doesn't have huge amounts of time, doesn't want to build a big team, but 100% agrees with what you're saying. So I think, I just look at something AI, and we're putting AI into the business. We'll just giving 5% of that way to someone else that's coming in, because I'll have Jarvis in this place soon, right? But I watch the work you do, and it's finite and it's boutique. Choose the words or whatever we want to say. I think it becomes premium.
Yes,
there's definitely a fucking market for it, because yes, there's these lead funnels gurus all do my tits things. It's like
comment Claude to download something that you could have asked Claude yourself.
GitHub, products are now, software is now known. Knowledge was expensive, so was software. Neither are anymore, because it's accessible as I'm going to use it. It's a road to nowhere. I think I explained to a client the other day, we've got a Lithuanian business, put 7 figures into a PPC campaign, right? Then I've got people who pay me a small retainer per month, and they want me to make fucking £1 million and post 25 times a day on Instagram, and it all to be seen. Never has the barrier for entry on social media, any of the platforms, been lower. I think the bar's definitely higher to be seen and create something that's meaningful. So it's bigger than engagement. No one likes anything anymore. No one comments on anyone more attention, because our attention's low or finite, and our lives are busy. So it's all just about what can I communicate? And I think, in my own humble opinion, what you're doing has more bang for buck, like a human interaction will. I think that human connection, understanding I know that's a human, will cut through. And I think it'll happen very quick, but that will become expensive, I believe.
It's already, the pushback is already happening. And, I always say I'm not anti-AI, I'm pro-human. So I work with clients who are AI founders in medtech, education tech, where it's changing lives and saving lives.
Yep.
That is what I believe. But AI to replace and decimate the creative industries, that's what I'm against. Because one, why should I give up something that I actually enjoy doing?
Yep. Well, that's a nice start. Yeah.
Right. I enjoy writing.
Yeah.
I enjoy creating. I enjoy painting. Why should somebody with a few prompts take that opportunity away from me?
So let's hold that pin in it, not to talk over you. And I noticed this. So you're from a country that you spoke about put fucking like handmade gifts in something.
Yes.
Look at buildings. I've really got a thing about old buildings. And you look at fucking the dross we churn out. I'm a digger. I build shit for a living, or used to. It's funny that the value of creativity is in the things that are unique. So like pots that are one-offs will suddenly become very valuable. So you're talking about something we're right in the middle of going, we're just switching over where these things are going to make them more valuable. But I think everyone's going to have less knowledge or less what do you call it?
The ability to express themselves and to use to upskill and develop.
It's a lost art of how to do it.
Well, that's the thing. And I was thinking as well, do I want my clients, I could have gone down, and I actually went all in with AI to know, because I thought this could decimate my business. So, but very quickly I thought, hang on a minute, I'm struggling to write a simple email. one of my clients is an AI researcher at Harvard and MIT. So we were having our weekly meeting, and I said to him, is it just me? I'm just getting old and losing my grey matter and my marbles? Or does AI help? If you notice this, AI has an effect on your cognitive abilities. I feel like I'm racking up some cognitive debt here. And he's like, oh yeah, the alarm bells are right. We are noticing this. It's obviously an early research thing, because MIT came out recently with a study, Your Brain on ChatGPT, right? So he was seeing it from the other end as a researcher. And so that's when I started ranting and going on about it. About 2 years ago, rather. And then I joked at the end of one of my posts saying maybe I should write a book. And I woke up to
the book come?
5 people tagging me with their publishers' details. And then my business coach at the time, Chris Ducker, was just starting up his own publishing company. He's like, let's have a conversation, because he's already a multiple published author. He knows the book world, business book world, and he was just setting up his own publishing company. I'm their second published author. They published more since then, but I'm one of their flagship kind of case study.
And it's called
ThinkBait.
So it'll be up on the video right now.
ThinkBait, yeah, as opposed to all the AI slop-induced clickbait, which is AI has made it massively worse.
Yeah.
So, and that the name came from, and it's not, I didn't coin that term, it turns out, but it's not been used in this context. And so I have managed to trademark it as well, because no one's trademarked it. So I thought, well, this could grow into a brand, so I'm trademarking it.
Too right.
So, but yeah, I remember.
So wait, let's go back then. Book right. So you're the third author I've had on here in the last few weeks. A friend of mine, Jem, she did one for all the power to women pieces and understand yourself, rebuilding yourself. Charlie Rogers, whole piece around similar nature, but for men. So this is all. So let's go back to the beginning. From the time of thinking to do it, how long did it take you?
Well, from the time of making that throwaway half joking remark, 7 months later, my book was published.
How many words?
Close to 40,000 words, I think.
Is that big?
It was supposed to be 20,000, but then I just kept writing and writing.
Shock! Someone who's good at using language doubled it.
Wrote this in my third language. This is not my first or second.
No one needs to hear that. Then that's incredible. How was that? Mind you, I suppose you.
I already had a lot of material though. It was in form of LinkedIn posts. I just had to make sense of where it fits into my chapter ideas, and I just developed those. So actually, I had a lot of that body, because I was looking into I was looking into how it's affecting our language, and I was making predictions. Before this was fashionable to talk about, I predicted that we are going to end up with an algorithmic accent, meaning we're going to start talking and writing like AI does, even if you're not using it.
I hate it. I've seen it, just probably because the way I look, it always does the rules of 3. It'll reference 3 things. It'll list 3 things. And
it's so annoying, because actually the rule of 3 is such a great copywriting technique.
I've heard.
But it's when it's overused, then it becomes like jarring.
And would you consider that, 'cause I didn't even know it was a thing, and I spotted it and it was pissing me off, and then I've heard it's something, I think I might have mentioned it in my phone, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's a thing, but it overuses it, right?
Yes. And also, even if you don't use AI for writing your own written material, what happens, because now 80% of what you read in the feed is AI slop, even if you're not reading it out loud, it's going in, you are impacted by it, and your language that you then start using to communicate is impacted by it. So it's actually homogenizing, flattening the language to the point where difficult words are now not being used.
No, it's dull.
Because it's all about simplifying. And what will happen, eventually we lose really interesting, really colorful words that describe a certain feeling, I don't know, if you're angry, if you're unhappy. What happens if you no longer have the language to describe when you're unhappy with your government and you want change? Agreed.
But then let's talk about expression and feelings. Like, on the other side, look at the language that could be created with younger people with emojis and things. Like, some of it, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I thought it was clever, but I'm good at Sudoku.
Yeah.
Can't figure that word out.
I think it's like, language is meant to evolve. It always has. But this is not making language better.
This is, to your point, it's restricting the expressional ability of words, right? Which I've started this at the beginning of making sure. And you know why? Because I don't like fucking about with miscommunication or assumptions, and I can make some bad assumptions. So I'm like, right, I can't sit on my perch I'll be more specific and then not take the time to find the words that probably aren't in my vocabulary at the moment. I might actually...
But sometimes you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you don't have the right words. But if you have the words to describe the thing you don't have the words for, that's still a human ability to do so. My argument against AI being used as a replacement for our thinking, because there is no thinking, there is no writing without thinking. The two have to, you cannot write without thinking what you're about to write first.
No, agreed.
So AI is impacting our thinking and the way we communicate, our written and even our verbal communications. But it's reducing it to the mean, meaning the average. The average of what's out there. And the average of what's out there is becoming worse and worse and worse because it's going back. So it's taking the source.
Reading all social media, but its content data set is big, and most of our conversation on a macro scale is online, right?
Yeah.
Because we ain't all
which is shortened, simplified. We'll always argue. So we are actually training our attention span to become weaker and weaker. You see a long post, oh God, I don't have time to read that. It could be a really interesting, meaningful post, right? Or books. But then interestingly, the Gen Z and youngers are pushing back. The books shop are doing really well the last couple of years.
Do you know why? Point I said at the beginning, human interaction. So I've seen it in one of the projects I'm doing at the moment in the longevity space. We're building the biggest longevity community. I've talked about, let's take an interesting thing. AI has been great for online coaches until now. Then you realise an online coach then is, and I'm a PT, I think the bar for PTs has never been low. Again, the quality's shite. Unless you're understood how to market yourself, good looking, whatever it might be, or double down on a niche, you do well.
Yeah.
But when all the AI is making all the same things, what's your point of difference? But then all of us crave, I even see stuff that I make in my agency, sometimes AI, and I'm instantly going, fuck, it's AI. I've just turned off. I'm using it. What a hypocrite.
It's difficult, because there's some processes that it does speed things up. I'm not saying we don't use AI. We use AI for market research. Where it's repetitive admin stuff, we use it.
Yep.
Where it's I want to pull out some themes that this client constantly keeps talking about that I might have missed, and it's recorded. And I ask AI, what is this client constantly what are their typical phrases and recurring thought patterns? Because I want to pin that down and make some story out of that. Yeah. But then it's me having that conversation with the client. And
once you've got a real idea of their...
Yeah. And once that's recorded, I take that and I'm right, I'm doing it offline. I even do it in my notes app, not even in the Google Doc where it comes up with suggestions. Yeah. In fact, I'm even thinking of getting one of those, I don't know what it's called, word processing machines, where it's completely offline, no internet, or it might just have spell check. That's
typewriter.
Typewriter. I do want to get, I learned to typewrite in high school. That was part of that.
Quite cool. I remember
it is. Yeah, and just the clacking, the click clacking.
So you get it wrong and you double print, you're fuck, the whole page.
Imagine. So you really had to think about what you were about to write.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can just Google spelling quickly.
So what other things would you say? Share some other thoughts on AI. So for one specifically for what you're doing, I think it's a great assessment. What are your thoughts as a parent now, because you've got children, of what the world looks like from a economical perspective? Talk about. So I'll offer some context just to start, not to lead you, but to white collar jobs. Seriously. Some serious change going on here. Yeah. For once, it's not the blue collar workers that need to be worried. White collar, as someone that's trying to use it responsibly. I don't have children either, but I have friends and meet people with kids that I think, right, actually, it's wrong of me not to take the consideration. Yeah. White collar people are probably extreme, but I would use that normally. But I'm being more specific. I'd be nervous.
Yeah.
What? With that in mind, do you have any other predictions?
Yes, I think that the arts and humanities, anyone in that will possibly do really well because we are craving real. Suddenly, it's tipping the other way.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think those words we were talking about, that artisan, that sort of person who can make things with hands or create with real human input. But you know, that some children may not enjoy that. But interestingly, if you look back through human history, I think we were made to create. We yearn to create something with our hands, and there's something to be said about the tactile process of touching things with your hands, molding things, writing things out, handwriting, not computer touch typing and all that. So, but you know, I've written a chapter in ThinkBait that is titled "The Children of the Algorithm," and it starts off with the bedtime story that nearly broke my heart. And it was that my daughter was 7 at the time, settling her down for bed, and she goes, because she's seen me, you know, playing with ChatGPT, and she goes, can we ask ChatGPT to tell me a bedtime story? And I was really tired. It was a long day, and it would have been so easy to say, do you know what? Yeah, why not? Just as a one-off, and then one-off becomes twice a week, and then becomes regular. And you just, you know, make it, because I've tested it once, make Darcy and Alex, my children's names, at the center of, I'm not sure if I should tell my children's names, it probably doesn't matter. Yeah. And
we'll delete that.
Yeah, so I tested it once, like, because my daughter wanted to hear her own name in the story. I tested it once, but then she was like, well, can we just ask ChatGPT to tell me a bedtime story? And I just didn't want that to be, it's so special. You only have not even 18 years to tell your children bedtime stories, because in the first few years they don't really get it. You tell them bedtime stories, but they don't really. And not even 18 years, because from probably age of 12 or so,
they're probably not interested.
They don't
away,
want
Mum.
Exactly. So you really only have a few years to have those really special moments at the end of the day. Everybody's working, life on autopilot. They go to school, clubs, whatever. You have maybe half an hour with them before they go to sleep, to have that, not eating, not fighting at the table, not like telling them to get, telling them off. Why would you give that over to a machine? Why should that be? Imagine that being their childhood memories, like a chatbot is telling me a bedtime story.
When they realise, probably stuff that will.
And it would be so easy, as a single parent to say, I had a really long day. I'm just going to type a quick question in and.
Away it goes. Alexa.
Yes.
So what story did you read that night when you said no?
So I
Can
said,
you remember?
which book are we reading now? Because she has many books in her room, and she has her favorites, and she's reading ahead of for her age, which is great. She's into reading now, but there's battles. She wants to be on the screen all the time. Yeah, so I can't completely shut her away from it. She has to do her homework on Google Classroom, so it's enforced by school, and that's the other thing. There's Sweden completely did a U-turn on that, where all screens are taken out from schools because they've actually looked at the numbers and the data, and children who learn in traditional environments with pen and paper and pencil, they have better outcomes. They have higher IQ levels than children who are exposed to screens, and that's scary.
So I think we should look at it in the wrong place. Fucking Switzerland. What about China? They don't even talk. Kids aren't really doing other much than play till 7, I believe. If I've got that right.
Well, most European countries start school at 7. So yeah, and you
don't we have nursery before that? Why just
yeah, they do have nursery, but it's sort of playtime really. It's not.
Or it could be older.
But children here, they start learning. You start learning writing even in reception, and when you look at the difference, by the time kids are 7 or 8, there's no difference in the reading and writing capabilities between those children who start at 4. So why ruin their
the play, the fun, the creativity? Because you have no boundaries, right? You think, I'll be an astronaut one day.
Sorry for them. I'm so little, having to just sit all regimented in their little school uniforms, and
especially as adults, it's not. I don't know a single adult that would do that in we just don't. Right, you crave. I personally can't wait to get away from school.
I was a nerd, so that's a different story. For me, school was like a bit of freedom because my mum was really strict, and I didn't have to go and work in the field. So for me, school was a bit of a.
See, fields already worked. I was
there you go.
It's again the whole perception piece. So, digital agency boutique. So someone watching this now, let's turn it into like a bit of a PR for you guys. The services, the things you can offer, what you're going to ramp up, what's the value. Because we'll put your website address and stuff up. But let's hear it from you.
So we work with founders of all sizes of businesses. We work with professionals who are in transition from, maybe they've been in corporate, they want to do consulting, things like that, refine their offer, and then start writing for them about their offer. So there's a lot of strategy work involved as well. I started out as a ghostwriter, but then it evolved over the years as I've learned to work with different type of businesses and seeing their struggles. I've realized that actually some of these founders, they couldn't voice, they have the curse of too much knowledge, and they didn't know how to package that into an offer.
That's a great
So
point.
I kind of specialized our packages, so it's not just content. We actually help you define your offer, create the value ladder, and then sell the right offer at the right price point to the right client who needs you.
I mean, you've got clients, just to be FYI, I mean, some of them you can't even mention, but you've got clients all around the world of
Yes.
different, I don't want to say levels, because I hate this bit, but of...
from clients who are happy to be named in public, like Eddie, to clients who are, we had one royalty, we had reality TV show winners, we had all sorts of really interesting characters and have still.
That you just leave eyes lit up with one. What is one standout moment or thing that you could actually say of this client management in your existing business with the people you're talking about? Oh, there's so many you can't say.
Yeah, like you know what? Dealing with characters and I want to say egos. So one of our longest standing clients was one of the most. At the time, I thought he was the most arrogant, most difficult client. He turned out to be one of our best clients. And
what was the turning point?
We had a bit of a battle of wills where I had to really put my foot down and say, you came to me because I'm the expert. You let me do my job. Let me prove it to you.
Is that the first time you've done that?
Yes, definitely.
Fucking worked, so
definitely.
Did it work? I got a feeling it did.
He took it on board. And, it wasn't like we had a head-to-head or anything like that. But I realized that up until that point, I was still treating this as I was an employee and my clients were my employers. And I realized that I have to grow up here and treat this as a business and actually act as the expert they are expecting me to act. Yeah. And once you have that confidence and you step up to the plate, they will take your lead.
100%. But it comes from not a position of your own strength. It's just, I know what I know. I can't do it with this approach we're talking about. I'm going to have to reinforce it.
That's the thing. And early on, like first call, when then we're not even talking about working together, I'm assessing. I said, I want to make sure that you're a fit. I'm not sure I want to work with you. I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me. If you're assessing me as a service provider against other service providers, I can now decide, do I want to work with a client? And I think even if I'm in a tight spot financially, even if the business is struggling because some of our clients had cash flow issues, which meant they didn't pay us for, went on and you think, okay, do I just take every Tom, Dick and Harry just because you have to try and stay principled as much as you can within the limits of there are three families to feed here, across the team. And
so I'm going to chuck in something more critical because I couldn't resonate. Just look, we know what you're saying, you feel it, and I've grown the agency, especially, and I'm doing loads of things at the same time. I've just got to the point where I no longer have to sacrifice the uncomfortableness and the fucking energy it drains from me for working with the wrong people, and the wrong people are not them. It's normally due to how I am, versus that whole piece of I've notably done it 3 or 4 times in the room with the lads, and they've gone. And I'm like, well, it sounded harsh, straight away we've ended up with the client. Built off a position of my frustration, and it's probably more down to the client we've had, knowing that it wasn't being fucking successful themselves, and being able to distinguish the fact that what they were looking at was someone frustrated going, damn, I know what I'm doing, shut up and let me do it. So it's a really weird experience to go through, but it takes a while. I think it's like getting comfortable with it. It's just realising my goal here is to get the best service. Yeah. You're in the way.
Well, that's the thing. And then they point the finger at you if things don't go well. And if you don't speak up early on and do the right thing, knowing that that's going to serve the client, because my client's success is my success, and if if we do badly, that's reflects badly on my business and
Word
on my
of mouth
name.
is stronger than advertising. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. So and I'm not saying it's all perfect, and there will be some clients and industries where you're like trying and think, okay, you have to be honest and say, we don't want to waste your time. And I think like this is not, or they're expecting a result that it's going to take a year or 2 years, but they want it in 6 months. And you right from the go, I'm like, transparency, this is not a silver bullet. This is, if you're coming to me to save your business in the next 3 months, you're talking to the wrong person. Yeah.
I guess another thing I was going to say there is when you have to protect your flow, because if you're, as a creative person, especially if you're writing, you can't be in a stressful place. Like I can't, my best idea is when I fuck off for a run, I'm in the gym, I'm in the sauna, I'm in a cold plunge, I'm driving. If I can't think of anything when I'm in these 4 walls other than what's going on. So, because I'm in conflict. So you'd have to, especially your service is built on being creative, right? So do you feel you have to protect that more?
But there is no, it's chaotic. My schedule is so chaotic. I mean, I have 2 kids that are with me every other week. We co-parent with their father. So what that means, I try and have to work around them when they're with me and cram everything else in, like these things, during the weeks when they're not with me. And quite often that will mean writing posts for clients on the train, swearing at the lack of Wi-Fi or 4G, and often working, having strategy calls at 9 p.m. once the kids have gone to bed, and I'm on the call then Zoom, and I'm like, I'm thinking, oh my God, kids just fall asleep, like no more. Mummy this, and I'm thirsty, and I'm hungry.
I mean, the little one jumped on the call when we were chatting, didn't he? Come in,
yeah,
you were brilliant.
That's right. So that can be a bit stressful. But my calm is once they've gone to bed, or if they're not with me, then I'm a night owl, and I do my best work somewhere around midnight. Or maybe that's because I'm from Transylvania.
Yeah, it is. Fucking vampire coming out.
There you go.
So this brilliantly dovetails onto probably a way to close this. If you're female and you're sitting there and you've got children, and here's another actual blueprint, and I'll leave this one probably before we wrap it up to reach out, but just here's another excellent case study. In fact, fucking I've probably blown the few out of the water before with the way your childhood started, of still managing to juggle mum, career, from career into entrepreneurship. And that's not for me to answer, but you've just alluded to some of those things. Again, I just don't think the consistent theme between all these conversations is no one's operating from a position of balance. No,
at the moment there is, and I think that's the goal, to achieve that. But knowing you have to be realistic if you really want to make that thing you're building successful. For a period of time, it's going to be difficult to find balance. And I don't know, whether that's a typical entrepreneur. And I never thought I would be down this route. And I'm constantly thinking there's 2 other things that I'm trying to build, completely different to a digital marketing agency. Like one of the things is all to do with end-of-life services.
Can we talk about that?
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
The end-of-life service industry. The end-of-life service industry.
Yeah.
Legacy planning, funerals, what happens after.
Just been through it. I think, fucking hell, what a car crash.
It needs to be disrupted and improved.
Yeah, it's a car crash at the moment.
So
it's not very good.
No.
My stepdad passed, and just watching my mum deal with that, it's been. I mean, the probate people. You got me on a fucking one now. Yeah. So where did that come from?
Partly is personal, because obviously, so my stepfather. I was already living in the UK, and I saw what mum went through with all, what we were just saying, the process. And it's also very much monopolized. So the local service providers, if somebody passes in a hospital, there will be one funeral service provider that the hospital, here are the contact details. You don't have a menu of, you can choose from these, compare service, or make it really tactful. Or how about you could actually do that years in advance, log into a portal, everything is taken care of for you, the right passwords, your legacy documents in one place, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
like a marketplace for end-of-life services. What happens if you die abroad? What do you want your body? What do you want people to do with your body if you die abroad? How about how about your pets? Nobody.
Oh yeah.
Loads of things you can add into this portal.
Yeah. gun licenses, like most of the guns and shit. And Mum's trying to figure out how to get rid of the gun.
Yeah, so that's the same. My
weapons
stepdad had guns.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a...
Police come round, they're all worried, she's panicking.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
How far down the road with this?
So, market research is done. I've got some ideas around how the platform could look like, and I'm meeting some investors. Luckily, I work with some clients who are in
off camera. I reckon I could fix your solution on software with what I'm building here.
Oh, right.
And I'm really quite interested in it because of what. So my mum went in for a new hip and she gave me a fucking envelope the other week when I dropped her off and said, "If you don't come out, open this." I was like,
"Oh my
Mum, you're going for a fucking hip." Like, I was like, "What? What do you mean?" I'm like, I'm not going to throw it in front of him. Right? But then it recentered everything. She's going to the bank.
Yeah.
What is it? Power of attorney. I'm like, fucking hell.
A
like,
lot.
I think she had to focus so hard on that before she's even grieved yet.
Yeah.
So I like this. Okay, there's the one.
And that's the thing. If you're in the middle of grieving and having to deal with all of that, it's so overwhelming, And we had that recently with our mum in Hungary, and finding things out. Things weren't signed properly. There's just. So imagine all the right service providers being, because once there's competition, the service improves, and
100%.
that's my
Yeah,
aim.
and it'll blend itself into the consumer rather than the system.
Yeah, you'd have to. If there's competition, you want to be then better, so you get the clients.
Agreed.
And morbidly or not, you never run out of customers.
No.
So
Well, fucking Bill Gates keeps going and all Pfizer. No, let's not go. I'm only joking. What's the second one? You said two things, didn't you?
the other one is kind of, I don't know if I've had a few knockbacks. That doesn't mean I'll give up on it.
Good.
It's Co-Mama.
You're on the wrong. What, Co-Mama?
Co-Mama is a platform for single mothers
Yeah.
to find other single mothers in their area to co-parent with, and even maybe move in and share costs, living costs, share the burden, share the
Be
load.
knocked back. I think it's a great idea.
Well, as in, investors are currently more interested in B2B ideas, not B2C, which is...
We need to go. What's the time now?
Yeah, I don't want to miss my train as well.
3. So I'm going to have to get you to the train. We'll talk on the way to the train because it's 4 now. 3 o'clock. What time is the train? 4?
4, I can get a 5 o'clock one as well. So
All right, fine. Well, let's go and have a chat. Both of those we can help. Look, I could talk to you for hours. I'm conscious it would be nice to get a little bit of food before we go and a drink because we're sitting here. Anything, how do I sum, because you fucking could, like, give me, no, what's the wrong question? For someone watching this, or, no, actually, have you got any takeouts after this one from anyone watching this that either, I hope one day, a younger audience that would be drawing something off the urge of, do they get a job, do they get education, do they go to uni, whatever, and then the second bit of maybe like single parents looking to get into business. What would be two bits of not advice, things you would share with them?
I guess, yeah, so the education piece is, yes, ultimately, I am a uni dropout, and that's a classic story of either not even getting your A-levels or starting uni because everybody around you is doing it and you drop out and you go and do something else. That's a very typical, actually, look at entrepreneurs, how they're not going down the classic route of getting educated and become a lawyer, doctor, whatever. So you don't, and maybe if you don't have that focus, that single-mindedness, when it comes to education, you will be able to channel that into something else. Because I still consider myself like a psycho. I'm like a dog with a bone when I have an idea and collect domain names just in case. And I'm sure you do that too.
Fucking do. It's fucking hard to get hold of now, to be honest.
If you can, exactly. And so you can channel that into something else that you're passionate about, that you're good about. And so then for me, and I want to encourage my children when they at that age, that you don't necessarily, I don't want to encourage them not to get an education. I feel like there's still value for education.
Agreed.
If they are academically minded, and I think my daughter is, my son probably not. But if they're academically minded and they find the subject early on, but just for the sake of, well, I'm going to do it because my mates are doing it and I don't know what I want to do with my life, so I'm just going to pick psychology, then you're wasting time
Agreed.
with that. So work on what actually makes you the fire in your belly go, I just really want to do this and I don't care about the education around it, and just go all in. And I have regrets around that. I should have done so much more during the easy coast cruising lives of Airbus, where I had a relatively easy, I look back at that and it was stress-free and easy in comparison to what I'm doing now. And I feel like I should have started building all this before I had children, it would have been much easier. It's so much harder once you have children.
I haven't got them for that fucking reason. So I agree. So here's one thing I do, because I'm not taking anything away. So if you feel that, great. I'm going to offer something back. Do you not think that was a subconscious break from the first 20 years of being quite taxing?
Well,
Not something to answer on here, just something maybe to think about.
reflect.
It's always interesting to see about ambitious people say, oh, I shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have this. I'm kind of looking as an outsider, like quite into detail. Just, that could have been a little period where after 20 years of fucking going at it, it was nice to do and it's what you needed. I don't know.
Maybe, but I know that I had much more potential than I allowed myself to really.
So here's the flip side. Where do you think you'd be if you did?
I feel like what I'm building now, I should have started. I would have been a much earlier I should have been an earlier adopter of seeing this. Like, I like writing, I like communicating and helping others communicate. And looking back, that was always my passion. So but I never had. And this is what the nature and nurture argument is. Who is around you? Who are the closest people around you that has a massive influence on you? I had no entrepreneurs around me until I met my ex, who's self-employed.
Yeah.
And that was the first time when he suggested, well, why don't you start something out yourself? And I never thought that was even a possibility. Even though I knew that people own businesses, I never realized that it's almost like I needed somebody else's permission for me to think, well, yeah, maybe I could, how about I start something?
Totally get you.
You know?
Or start a business, fucking hell. Didn't you set it up and all? And when I hear that, I'm like so flippant with it, and I apologise. People say, I'm like, fucking go online, do it. Take about 4 minutes, 12 quid.
Yeah.
Well, they've changed it, actually. It's 50 quid now. It's annoying. But I totally get you. It was until and that's all to do indoctrination.
Yeah, and the safety as well. It's like the safety of a mediocre but easy life in a way. And it's not, you find other fulfillment and you finish with a clock off. You don't have to worry. It's not like now when you don't clock off. You know that.
I was living in the van this time last year in the campfire, renting my house out. I do it again all day long, but most people go, oh, I feel sorry for me because I think by Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I moved out from a very nice, very comfortable family home to start over while still trying to build businesses and doing conference talks and writing a book and looking after my mother dying. That all happened in 1 year, last year. So, yeah.
But then there's some growth out of it. And there's a subtle smile with when you talk about these things.
Yeah, because it shapes a more resilient character. And it either, you keel over and you give up and you become, and I don't want to sound like a hustle bro, but hardship, whatever form, and for somebody, this life that I lived is not hardship. For other people think, oh my God, how is she so happy?
Yeah.
But hardship either takes you down a few pegs to a point where you just feel, well, I'm not going to amount to anything. And this is what the universe has decided for me. And they just go wherever the wind blows them. Or you go, no, I'm going to grab this 100%. Bull by his horn and I'm not going to.
Adversity builds character, for sure.
Yeah.
And then it does this. Mate, let's go and grab something to drink or eat before we put you on the train. I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this. Told you it'd be a good one. Look, thank you if you've got to this point, you've watched. If there's any questions for either of us, drop them in the comments. Any negative shit, I'll just delete it. No, I'll probably have a bit of fun with you. You say we'll leave it there. And please chuck in some challenging conversations there. And any topics, or if you've heard anything that we've discussed, please message either of us individually. I'm sure you'd be keen to offer perspective, further words of advice.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
It's been a pleasure.